Welcome to the One Life One Chance podcast. I'm your host, Toby Morse. Today we have a very, very special guest, a good friend of mine for many, many years. I wish I could be with him now and have a face-to-face, but we are on lockdown and he lives very far away. Please welcome to the podcast my friend Branden from a band you might have heard of called Rancid.
What's up, brother? We're getting our technical issues sorted out here.
So welcome to the podcast. How I always just call you your first name, and I don't want to fuck up the way. How do you pronounce your last name?
Steineckert.
Steineckert. And where does that come from?
Yeah. I've been told it's some form of German, maybe even a hint of Jewish German.
Okay.
But I don't really know.
Yeah.
But I just know people have a lot of fun trying to say it.
Yeah, and spell it probably too, for sure.
Right?
So how you doing, man? You good?
Yeah, doing well. All things considered, can't complain.
Yeah, man. Strange times indeed, but we just got to keep focusing and, keeping ourselves busy and keeping ourselves healthy and exercising and doing stuff we love,
Exactly. Trying to do a lot of all of that these days. That's for sure.
I mean, I know it's even a friend of mine was just visiting you recently, and he was telling me about showing me some of the canyons and all the stuff you have. You have such beautiful scenery out where you live, and there's so much cool things to do in the dirt and the sand, and also in the water. Like there's so many things in there. I love Utah so much. Every time I've been there, I've loved it so much. I love, like, you can go swimming, you can go snowboarding. It's just the air is nice, and I know I like it there.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was always one of those places, ironically, that I kind of hated growing up, and then it wasn't until I got out of here and experienced the world a little bit that coming back home wasn't such a bad thing. And then it was in the later years in life where I was able to actually really get out and appreciate this state, because it's not, if you go to Salt Lake City, it's just, it's another city, but some people love it, some people hate it, to each their own, but it's more like you got to break out and get into the mountains, get into the desert, get into the water. And that's where it really gets set apart. And I've actually been living in southern Utah right now in a very, very small desert town. For all of 2020, I've been down here, and it's great, man. Like you said, we just had a mutual friend out and went on some epic hikes and just seeing some of the craziest sights, and it's just beautiful, man. It's the perfect place to lay low during these times,
Yeah, for sure. And so you weren't born there. You were born in Idaho, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Which I never. I don't have any memories of living there. We moved away when I was a baby, So
yeah.
It's always weird if people ask me where I'm from. It's like, well, I guess I don't know if I need to say where I'm born, because I don't feel like I'm from Idaho at all. I've spent the majority of my life in Utah, a little bit in Colorado. And so to me, I'm from Utah,
Do you have any brothers and sisters?
Oh yeah. I got an older sister, 2 older brothers, and a younger brother and a younger half sister.
Wow. That's a big family, man. Wow.
Yeah. And I have 5 step siblings too.
Holy
so it's
shit.
Crazy.
Holy
the Utah way.
Are you
right?
are you in touch, and are you tight with all them? Are you connected with everybody still? And
with my immediate siblings, we're all pretty close. They're rad. They're good people. We're all very different, but yet certainly cut in the same cloth.
Yeah, for sure.
And I love them to death. They're definitely family. We've had our ups and downs, but we've all been through a hell of a lot together, and our upbringing and childhood certainly created some solidarity that will stick with us forever.
Yeah. So how was that growing up? So are you guys a Mormon family?
Yeah, I was actually raised pretty strict Mormon.
Yeah.
And it was, the first years of life, everything, it seemed totally normal as far as I was concerned. It was like, I always lived in kind of smaller towns and suburban towns, just outside of Salt Lake City. And we moved a lot, not for any good reasons. Usually people are moving because their parents had other jobs or whatever.
Yeah.
We were usually moving because my family might have burned a bridge in that neighborhood or something, because my parents were always in between jobs and struggling for work. And we were certainly a poor family. And so we just kind of live wherever we could as long as we could, and have to move again I don't think I finished a single grade of school. Well, more than one grade in the same school. You know what I mean? Like,
Holy
we
shit.
moved so much.
Wow.
So it was kind of, but again, I didn't know the difference. So it's like, that
Yeah.
didn't seem weird to me.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, new year of school at a new school, you know? And it was just like a chance to try to meet new people and whatever. I was super shy. So I struggled to have friends, but it was just kind of like a new leaf every time where I could just kind of start new and meet new people. And I mean, we're talking like elementary school, you know? And
yeah, totally.
And so I didn't know the difference. It was like weird. And I never even, like, as they would call it, I graduated 6th grade. Like, I was pulled out of 6th grade with like a month left of school because
Really?
my family was moving again.
Okay. Yeah.
And there was no reason to enroll me into another school with that little time left. So I didn't even finish 6th grade at the time, you know, just moved on to middle school.
Yeah. So was it hard making friends, like, because you kept moving schools, or did some of your family members go to the schools you went to as well? All like,
you know, we don't go to the same school, but we were all kind of in it together, you know, and I think the kind of communities we tend to live in, you'd get a mix of everything, you know, like there was always, we were just kids that were like the play in the front yard and out in the streets kids, you know, in our neighborhood. So we'd get to meet neighbor kids right away and have new friends, and then, you know, pack it all up and move and do it again, just because my parents struggled to keep jobs and work. And so it was just kind of going wherever any opportunity would take us. But it was always, you know, 9 times out of 10, it was within Utah, you know, and even like greater Salt Lake area, you know?
Yeah. Were your parents strict?
I don't know. I mean, I guess, you know, again, there's kind of like the 2 chapters of childhood for me. There was like the grade school era where, to me, everything was just normal. My dad would cut our hair and cut it super short because he didn't think, you know, boys were supposed to have long hair at all, kind of thing. It was just like, he was certainly like strict Mormon guy that, like, you never once in my life, I never saw him in a t-shirt ever. He would wear like collared shirts every day, no matter what we were doing. If we were going to,
holy shit,
you know, out in nature at all, or anything, he'd have slacks on and a collared shirt.
Interesting.
You know, like, yeah, he was a unique individual for sure. And my mom was cool. Like, she was a great mom and did her best, you know, those years. And then again, everything, you know, when I was 11 years old, life really flipped a hard 180. And that's where, like, you know, from then till my adult life is a completely different story, you know?
Yeah. So 11 years old. So what grade are you in then? You're in middle school, right? Yeah.
6th grade.
6th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I know it's. Yeah. I don't. You know, if you don't want to talk about it, you have to. But I know your dad passed away, and I know that much. I know that changed everything for your whole life. I mean, obviously, it happened to me when I was 3, but I wasn't. I mean, if I was 11, I would have spent more time, and it's even more harder because I barely knew my dad because I was so young. But you were close with your dad, knew your dad, and so that's super heavy, especially as an 11-year-old. You know.
Yeah, it was weird because it was like the timing of it all. You know, I mean, he died of suicide, and and that forced a lot of reality into a child's mind early on. You know, that it's like even death. You know, you lose a grandparent. Like I lost my grandma before that, and it was like, so we weren't strangers to the idea of death, but to lose a parent that young, you know what I mean? Like it just introduces all these like very grown up, very real aspects of life that a child should, you know, hopefully not have to deal with that young. And then it was like weird, awkward things where, you know, those like, what do they call them? Like the maturation clinic or whatever in school where they teach you about puberty and all that shit. Like, and everyone shows up with their dad. Like all the boys show up with their dad to learn about it. And I'm like rolling in with my mom, like super awkward. Like that was the most uncomfortable thing, just to be the only one there with their mom, you know? And it was just like little things, you know, campouts with like the Boy Scouts where it's like his fathers and son camp out and I'm just rolling with the neighbors, you know? And little things that just kind of made like an already kind of painful thing sting a little more, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a trip. And then my mom remarried not long after that, very short after that actually. And that was insane because she had a blind date with this guy. And 1 week later to the day was their wedding.
What? Are you serious? Like 7? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. They dated for 1 week.
Man.
And like, it was insane. He had 5 kids. My mom had 5 kids. They moved us all to Provo, Utah. And like this, I was so bummed. That was why I got pulled out of elementary early, you know, the 6th grade. And so we moved down to Provo, where it was just like, you know, Utah County and Provo are, Utah itself is a bubble, you know, but Utah County is like a bubble within a bubble. And if you think like Salt Lake or anything like that's conservative or, you know, odd, you should check out Utah County. It's another world, especially at that time, you know, it felt like it. So I was super bummed to have to move down there. And then there was a lot of abuse, you know, and it just, man, things got really dark for quite a while. So it was gnarly.
I can kind of relate in the sense where we were like Catholic, we were like forced to go to church. It was like a big deal. And then, you know, my dad dies when I'm 3 and my brother Todd. It's a true story that my mom came home. My brother made a sign that said like "fuck God" on the tree or something. Like he said, if there's a God, why'd they take my dad? So everything about religion kind of changed for them too. Like they're like, why'd you take my dad if there's somebody out there looking out for us? You know. Then my mom had to raise 3 boys on her own, and then we moved from Taunton to Newport, Rhode Island. And then my brothers kind of raised me in a sense because my mom was like just trying to keep food on the table. And then we ended up moving from there to Southern Maryland, where we. You know, she was a manager of an apartment complex, and Rusty Pistachio was this redneck with a mullet, and he was the maintenance man, and that's where we met Rusty. So it's like we moved all around.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and so that seems like your story too. You moved around a whole bunch, a lot, and then my mom married this dude named fucking Bill Greco, and none of us liked him, and nobody was good enough for our mom, and we fucking ran that dude out of there. Like we just it was kind of soon for us as well, and so like you're with my mom. Who the hell are you? You know what I mean? Like and.
Yeah.
He ended up I think he cheated on her or something. He was just, we just vibed it. Like we knew it. And plus we were very protective of her mom at that time because we were pretty fragile. And so, so I totally get where you're coming from. And, yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy how life just changed like that.
Yeah. And it was, again, it's just these harsh life lessons that it sucks to have to learn so young, you know, but I mean, at the end, like, maybe that's a good thing. You know, it's like we learned a lot and it shaped a lot of who we are. And if we didn't go through all that shit, who knows what kind of people we'd be today, you know?
Yeah. Were you getting good grades in school because you kept moving all around? I mean, obviously. No. Yeah.
Never.
Especially probably after your pops died. Like you probably spent like, I don't know. It just, fuck everything or just not.
I just didn't
like not
give a shit.
Yeah. Word. Yeah.
School was never about, it was never about education and intellect and you know what I mean? It was never about that. It's all a bullshit. Like it's more learning like social life lessons.
Yes.
And that's all I took from it.
Yeah.
I'm not like a super book smart guy, but I am a smart guy, you know, and I know what's up and I got a lot of street smarts as far as just simply living life and surviving, you know, but man, school never meant anything to me. I mean, I almost dropped out in the 8th grade and by almost I stopped going to school for like 2 weeks until I just kind of got my ass handed to me and had to go back. But, and then I tried to drop out again in high school and then I successfully dropped out my senior year. So, but I was like 0.63 GPA at one point, like just terrible.
Wow.
You know, but not because I had bad grades. It was like I just made zero effort.
Yeah,
you know, I'd learn what I could and whatever, but it was just like, nah, fuck this. I'm trying to survive life right now. Like I'm not worried about bullshit, like, you know, agendas and whatever. It was just, there was more to life at that point where like we were calling the police, you know, once a week on my stepdad beating up my mom. And
fuck, man.
At one point she had 2 broken legs and was in a wheelchair from this shit. And it was like, it was just like, really, I'm supposed to give a shit about fucking like states and capitals? Like, I don't give a fuck.
No, man.
You know,
I'm trying to survive.
like,
yeah.
I just want to like fucking survive this week, you know, and not. I think the dark part was having that going from this like innocent, very standard feeling childhood, or so it felt, to like that harsh reality of like what options are there.
Yeah.
And the kind of monkey see, monkey do aspect of like, oh, so when things get hard, I can just kill myself. Okay. You know what I mean? And it kind of introduced this idea that I would have never fucking thought about, at least not in those young of years.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, when things are bleak at home and my teenage years, and, you know, I have very few friends, and I'm just like diehard skateboarder, and that was all that mattered. And a few friends I did have. And man, I can't even tell you how many times I considered going that route and just ending it. Like,
wow, man,
it was dark, man.
That's
but
heavy, yeah. So as a beacon of light, which I feel like we have so many similarities just talking to you right now, is for me as well. But like the one positive thing that came from my brothers kind of like looking out for me while my mom was working is they got me to skateboarding and punk rock. And so that skateboard was everything. It was my best friend. It was my girlfriend. It was everything to me. And that's exactly what happened to you. Like skateboard became everything for you, skateboarding.
Oh, it was everything. There was no other reason to live, literally. It was like, and ironically, it became skateboarding because my older brother rode BMX.
Yeah.
And my older brother, Troy, was my hero. He still is. He's such a good dude. And I really love all my siblings, but Troy was just the big brother, my oldest brother. And he got into BMX and this little like crew of BMX friends. And they were just like the fucking like raddest kids. They weren't like the cool kids in school by any means, but they were just fucking like the raddest kids. And so I just looked up to them, but I couldn't afford a bike. You know, he was older than me. He could get a job and work for this shit and whatever. And I couldn't. So I managed to get a hold of like a cheap ass, like, you know, Kmart style skateboard and would just follow them around on that thing until I was able to get my first proper board, you know, and then it just took over everything. Yeah.
What you remember what your first board was?
Dude, ironically, it was a Matt Hensley Mini. H Street.
Shout out to Matt Hensley.
Right?
People don't know he's in Floggy Molly. That's
amazing, and dude, get this. So I told that to Matt a little while back, because you know we've toured together. He's played on Rancid Records, you know, and so we've gotten to spend time to. And it, like, dude, the first handful of times I was around him, I never told him because I just was being like bashful about it, and and it was just crazy because it's like, dude, you have no idea what your model board did to my entire life.
That's
like
amazing,
that probably.
Dude.
There's no way to grasp what that did, but I eventually told him, and H Street reissued that deck, and Matt sent me one that he signed for me, and I was so stoked, man. Like that was the coolest shit. Like
that's so
what
cool.
a trip.
I remember seeing those. I think there was silver those boards or something. I remember seeing those releases, 3 releases maybe.
Yeah.
Dang, that's so cool,
it was crazy
man.
They did that Mini. It was called the Mini, and it was tiny, dude. It was this tiny little deck.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a freestyle deck. It was still like a proper street board, but like it was just really short and this tiny little nose. And man, I loved that thing, and I just destroyed it. I skated that thing for so long.
So you're a heavy street skater?
Sick. Yeah, you know, I actually rode ramp more.
Okay.
Because my brother, again, the BMX thing, him and his friends, and you know how it goes. We didn't buy the wood, but we had a half pipe at our house that courtesy of any construction sites nearby. You know? Yeah. So we just go nab some boards here and there. Never like, we weren't like scumbags about it too bad in the way that, you know, it would just be like some scraps here and there. And so we had this janky ass half pipe. And I just loved that. So I'd ride that, and like little launch ramps we'd have, and we'd grab like railroad ties because we lived by railroad tracks a lot of the time. And those are actually super fun for just board slides and shit.
Yeah, for sure.
They're just naturally so slick. So,
yeah.
But I certainly favored skating like mini ramps more. I love that shit.
Did you have like a favorite trick on mini ramps?
You know, I had like my go-tos that are still my go-tos.
Yeah.
I was always rocking like, I was just like, my run would consist of like a lot of rock and rolls, Rocky Fakey, full cab. And then like, I'd do like these like blunt to rock and rolls. That was like my claim to fame. That that was my favorite. Now I can still pop them and land it, and I'll be so stoked when I do. I'm like, yeah, still got it.
it's a good feeling to do that stuff when you get older and do the same. Yeah, it's awesome, man. It's definitely.
I was just seeing your clips of shredding with Hosoi and Cab. It was so good. You're still shredding hard, man. I love it.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I'm pretty sore today. My body feels like I'm 50 years old, even though my mind feels young. But today I'm so chill today. Like it was a long day falling and stuff. But yeah, it was so fun. It was surreal to skate with those dudes, and yeah, it was really awesome, man. Good humans.
Do you remember that time we found a skate park on tour that you and I went and rode, and they had like some big ass ramps, like. I don't remember where. I feel like we were in the Midwest somewhere, but it was on. I think it was on that tour with H2O The Used and 30 Seconds to Mars.
Okay.
Remember that one?
Yeah, I do. I think I do remember that in 2002, maybe, right?
Probably 2004. I think like 2004-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just remember one of the days off, you and I went. We found this like skate park, and I knew you skated, but I didn't know, to what degree, and it was so sick. Like you were landing all the dope shit. I loved it.
Thank you, man. Skateboarding is something. I don't know, man. I don't know. Back then, it was just something to do and fun with your friends, and just trying the same trick over and over and over again. Getting hurt didn't matter. You're bleeding. You're sweating. You're fucking exhausted. You're hungry, but till you land that trick, it's just an incredible feeling, man. It's something that. I don't know. It was so special, and it's still special. But it was like a natural high, and
exactly. I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, it's like
that was the thing that did it for me. Was it was like the first taste of like adrenaline and that high that wasn't derived from fear. It was like this positive, like all those like crazy endorphins and that crazy emotions, but coming from something positive was like. Holy shit. And it was just, man, I can, that was my addiction for sure.
Yeah.
I was hooked, and it was just like, it didn't matter how much you wrecked yourself and hurt yourself. It was like, I mean, you're probably like me, living with just scabs on your shins, constantly scabs on your elbows, and just like, didn't even matter. Like every day at school, a little blood running down the leg somewhere, like,
just ripping the same scab over and shit. Way. Yeah. So was your exposure to skateboarding and punk rock at the same time? Because I mean, a lot of those old skate videos, the soundtracks are like such classic. Youth Brigade, like a lot of punk bands on especially the Bones.
Yeah, and that was the thing. So, ironically, music had no place in my life for the longest time. It was so late in the game.
Gotcha.
But yeah, the exposure was there, and the exposure to the culture, everything. But it was like. It just felt like another world, man, that I wanted to visit. It was like, you watch any of those old classic movies and just, anything from Thrashing to like,
Gleaming the Cube
and all that shit. Like just those like bigger mainstream movies that like actually spotlighted skateboarding a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and then let alone like these skate videos. And it was like, oh my God, like these people, what they're doing and all the spots that were doing it in these skate parks, old like pipeline videos and shit. It was like the craziest shit. So
dude,
it just kind of seemed like another world that I was trying to visit, and then, but in my household, there was no music other than like, my mom would sing in like the choirs a lot, stuff like that. So there was like, Mormon like religious music, but otherwise like the only things that ever stood out was like my dad loved the Beach Boys and my dad loved Kenny Rogers.
Nice.
And that was like the two bits of music that were like in my life. And I didn't even own like a boombox or anything like a Walkman until I was like 15, 16.
Wow.
And that was when I finally like started actually like finding music properly and thanks to friends, thanks to skate videos, thanks to that stuff, I've found the good stuff that resonated with me, and
yeah,
very, very quickly became apparent. It was like the soundtrack of life, and you find what soundtrack fits yours, and
yeah,
and that was my introduction. And then like, it was cool. Like, one of my stepsisters she was really into a lot of great music and a lot of diverse, like, different stuff, and would have me, I was like kind of an artist back then, like in junior high and high school. And so she would like give me like a cassette or something and have me draw like that album cover for her on like a full size piece of paper, just so she could hang it on her wall. Cool. But her kind of stipulation to that was like, but you got to listen to it while you're drawing it, and so I found a lot of cool stuff that way, where it was like just kind of a forced introduction to some music, where it's like, oh shit, I'm feeling this,
Mm-hmm. You remember what your first show was? Like live concert?
Yeah, it was. So my brother and his best friend, who's still one of our closest friends, this guy John Bellers, they opened a little underground skate park in Provo.
Nice. And
they started hosting concerts there, and like getting like actual like touring bands to come play, not just local bands. And I was like maybe 15, 16 at the time. And they made shirts, like security shirts for like me and my friends and stuff, to just like, because we were like the house skaters there.
Nice.
But we certainly were security. There was no barricade, nothing. But Skank and Pickle came and played at the skate park.
Nice.
And we just got to hang out for free in our like pretend security shirts and stuff. And it was like the raddest thing. I was like super intimidated at first, just because what I thought a concert was going to be like, and let alone like a super fun like ska show.
Yeah.
But they were so rad, man. It was so fun. And then we had let's see, who else? Face to Face was supposed to be coming through, and something happened and they had to move it last minute. But yeah, that was super fun. And then after that, my next like proper one I bought a ticket to was actually a Pennywise show.
Oh wow!
In Salt Lake City. Yeah,
that's awesome.
But I don't have like cool like young like old school like show experiences, man. Like I'm just like, it's like, yeah, this shit was late for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't pretend like I didn't find music till I was 15, 16 properly.
So what was your goals? What did you want to do when you get out of high school?
I kind of swayed when I was in kind of the mode of like, you got to have goals and be something someday. I really loved art. I wanted to like do something in art, maybe even be like an art teacher. And then cool. I always have to credit counseling to the reason why I'm still alive. I had an incredible counselor growing up who's still a dear friend of mine today.
That's awesome.
And that actually really resonated. And I started to want to become like counselor for troubled teens.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the thing I wanted to do the most, where I was like, that shit saved my life. And if I could be that for somebody else, even for one person, like it just makes it feel like everything I've endured was worth it,
Yeah,
and
makes sense.
That was the thing I was like the most passionate about. But then in reality, I was just dead set on being a pro skater.
Wow.
It was like, that's all I'm going to do. Like, I just want to skate and that's it.
Were you getting like local sponsors and stuff like that?
There was a skate shop called Board of Provo that would sponsor my little crew. We called ourselves Team Toy, and
nice.
And it was so fun, man. It was just me and like 4 guys. Like, it was like we were some of the only skaters in our entire town, and this skate shop was so rad. There was such a cool like independent shop, and called Board of Provo. It was so rad.
That's cool.
Someone took the name and reopened it. Now there's a shop it's a cool shop, but it's not the same one. It's different owners and people that borrowed the name.
Were you entering like local contests and stuff?
Yeah, my first one was when I was like 12 years old. There was a skate park in Salt Lake called Mrs. C's, and they had this 6-foot mini that the thing seemed like it was like 20 feet tall because I was such a tiny kid.
Yeah.
And it was this big ass 6-foot spine with a wall ride on the other side.
Nice.
And I entered in that thing and I got third place. No, maybe it was fourth place because I was just outside of like the top 3 to get any kind of prize or anything.
Yeah.
But it was fun, man. I loved it. And that was a rush though. I had never skated in front of like a crowd like that. It was just like other skaters. So that was a new experience. I didn't love it. You know, I've never been one for attention and crowds.
Yeah.
Ironically,
it's so weird.
I just always had bad stage fright and just didn't want people looking at me. I think that's why drums, you know, makes more sense for me. I couldn't be a front man. I couldn't do what you do.
Like playing the back. I mean, it's a good spot too, though. You can see the whole crowd. I mean, I don't know. It's cool watching.
You get the best seat in the house for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And you got inspired to play drums. Your dad played drums, right?
Yeah, but it was something that I never saw him play drums. Like none of us did. He played when he was a teenager.
Yeah.
And it was all like in stories. Like we'd hear about how he'd perform Wipeout at like school assemblies and stuff. And he was apparently like this little shredder. And I had just seen a few photos of him, and he had that like drummer tick like we all do, just constantly drumming on everything, you know? So,
yes.
So he would do that, but it was like a part of him we didn't really know. And then when I was around 15, that was when I was really struggling, like, didn't have girlfriends and just was like the violence and shit at home. And my siblings and I didn't get caught up in any of that, luckily, in the way that we were never violent to anyone, but it was, my stepsisters, beating up my mom and them all just going at it and my stepdad doing it. And it was like, I don't know, everything was really bleak.
That. Yeah.
And it was like, so one day I just was going through this filing cabinet we had of stuff of my dad's, and my hair was kind of grown out at the time. And I found this photo of him wearing a wig sitting behind his drum kit. And you would have thought it was a photo of me. Like he looked exactly like me in that photo. And I literally, I didn't care about playing music because I didn't know music, but it was just like, I saw it as something that I could do to take after my dad. Yeah. That would be a good thing, because too much focus was being put on the bad things and what he did to leave us and stuff. And so, I worked my ass off and bought my first drum set when I was right around 16.
That's cool.
And started bands with some, friends that just went to school with that I found out they played guitar or whatever.
Yeah.
And I sucked, dude. I sucked so bad.
Was that Strange Hitch?
Yep. Strange Hitch.
Nice.
Yeah, dude. It was like one of those things where the learning curve was really big for me.
Yeah.
It took a long time for me to pick up drums because the coordination just didn't feel natural. Mm-hmm. I tried to take lessons for like a month and had no interest in reading sheet music and doing that shit. And so really the only way I learned is because like shit would be like, screaming and shouting and punching walls upstairs. And so I'd be down in my room, just like, crying and whatever. So I'd just start banging on the drums and screaming and crying and whatever. And it was just like, all of a sudden it started to groove a little bit. And then it became one of those things where it's like, I literally like lived the experience of taking a negative and turning it into a positive, where
I love that.
Anytime I was feeling suicidal, anytime there was a fight happening in the house, anytime like I was just hating on life, I'd go play drums and literally like feel myself improve and come away feeling so much joy and like kind of that, just getting that natural high that I got from skateboarding.
Yeah.
Where it was just like, oh shit. Like, okay,
And you can block it out and get the stress out and all that stuff. So you block everything out and get your own world too,
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And it was nice to be able to like, I was an angry teenager and like punching lockers all the time and walls and shit. My knuckles were always bloody, but I never got into fights. Luckily, I didn't go that route with it.
Yeah.
But I was so fucking angry and just had this scowl on my face all the time. And it was amazing because it took no time at all where that just completely melted away. And it's like my temper, everything just got under control. My, those dark thoughts and everything I would feel, everything just melted away, man. And the more I played music, the more joy I found in life, the more peace I found with myself, and it was insane. It was like a religious experience for me, like it was a really beautiful thing.
Another interesting similarities is that we both lost our dads and we both been drug free our whole lives. And like, it's like a lot of people could have taken that situation and really went a really negative route with it too. And like, just started trying things and partying, like, fuck this world. I lost my pops. Fuck everything. I don't believe in nothing. Yeah. Could have gone a really dark path. And I feel like the skateboard really helped as like a tool, as like therapy, as everything, skateboard itself, and just doing that. And then also the music you get into. And I don't know, I think it's definitely, they were lifesavers,
Absolutely.
Cause like,
it was an interesting time too. Cause all of it was like these like bad things all just right in the way, the timing, like my little skate crew, like all of a sudden, like the guys just started getting into smoking weed and partying a lot and all this stuff. And I was like kind of bummed where it was like, man, like, can't we just skate? Like, let's just go skate. Like, It was like, and it was like, I didn't have any interest in that. Cause it's like, dude, no, are you kidding? Like, I have enough fucking going on. I don't need to bring trouble into my life. Trouble just keeps finding me. Like, I don't need to add anything and start getting fucking into legal trouble or some shit. It was like, no, I can't. And so it was like, just one of those things. Like, I never thought my friends were like necessarily doing something wrong at all. I just knew that
it wasn't for you.
I couldn't fuck with that.
Yeah. It's the last thing you need to do.
Nah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those things. I like to use the analogy. It's like, I feel like life is a little bit of like working with a hammer, and it's like, it's going to tear up your hands at first and give you blisters and whatever. But like, sure, you could wear a glove and it's going to help protect that and maybe numb it up. But it's like, I would just as soon power through without the glove and get the fucking calluses and blisters, and because you're going to get stronger quicker that way.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
And so to me, it was like,
face it head on.
If I would have partied,
mm-hmm.
it's like for me, partying at that point would have been a cop out. My intention of doing it wouldn't have been to have fun. It would have been as an escape from reality.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, fuck that. I'm not going to learn anything if I do that. I'm not going to get any stronger if I do that. I need to just fucking take this shit head on and just deal with it and win. And that's the only way to get through this. I can't have like a crutch getting me through it. I need to just fucking do it. And I really got, my brother was the same way, in his circle and the BMX scene. It was like, we both were just kind of known as being like these drug-free guys. And I remember this older skater that we looked up to, this guy, Clint, was so fucking good. He was amazing. And I found out he was straight edge. And I had no idea what that was. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, and this is long before I heard Minor Threat or any punk rock. I was so away from any scene at all,
Yeah.
And it was like, people would be like, oh, it just means he doesn't do drugs and he doesn't like have sex with girls. And I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, that's like me. I don't do that either. It seems so like relatable.
Yeah.
That like for a minute I was like, I'm straight edge too,
mm-hmm.
And then it was like, and then it took no time at all for me to realize like, and learn like what it truly was behind that and all of that. And so, but then again, there was the other side of the coin where I live in Utah,
especially where you live.
In Utah, yes. I was like, that's a little bit different thing here. It's kind of gotten taken out of context, and I don't know that that's necessarily something I want to be associated with, because there was a little bit of a negative connotation to it there when people were,
more
jumping
militant.
People for smoking a cigarette and shit. Mm-hmm. It was like, no, that doesn't reflect me and my like values. Mm-hmm. And so, so I never really claimed straight edge ever, other than that moment. And so it's just kind of like I think, I've certainly lived that lifestyle my entire life. I just kind of did it for me as not really a part of any kind of a scene or anything, Yeah.
I mean, I have friends just like you also that never claimed it, but been drug free their whole life. And the same kind of thing. Like I was 13. I didn't try anything. My brothers were getting high and smoking and drinking around me, and like then I heard Minor Threat, and I could skate to it because it was aggressive enough to skate to. But then they had this message that like there wasn't anarchy in the UK, and never mind the Bullocks and fuck your parents and all this shit. It was something I could relate to, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm straight edge, you know what I mean? But then later on in life, like you said, like it's always been a personal choice for me my whole life. I've never been nobody in my band straight edge. My wife isn't. It's just something that I chose to live by. And yeah, there's a label for it, there's a name for it, and but yeah, it's like it's always been a personal thing. And some people got inspired in different ways and took it to different levels and took something from it that if it could help their lives, and it got all kinds of I went all different ways, shapes and forms, you know.
Yeah,
for sure.
And that's the thing. It was one of those things where, you know, any aspect, any what do you want to call it? Like a belief system or something people want to adhere to for their life and roll with. It's like that's a beautiful thing when people are trying to do good.
Totally.
Whether it's, you know, how you choose your diet to be, how you choose your exercise, how you choose your sobriety, whatever it may be.
100%.
Like, if you're trying to do good, beautiful, do you know what I mean? But it's like, Utah tends to have a very extreme culture because it's more diverse than I think people realize on the outside. But people just kind of think of Utah and think of Mormons, which is accurate. But then you've got the other side of that coin, which is this extreme non-Mormon, let it be known to the whole fucking world, I'm not, and I hate this and that. And it's like, you get these like two sides just butting heads. And it was any of those like scenes or whatever you want to call it, whether it was like, you know, straight edge, vegan, Mormon, you know, atheist, whatever it is, everyone was so hard stanced and just kind of aggressive about it that for me, it kind of chilled me out in the way that I'm like, nah, like I'm just going to be whatever that gray area would be called. That's where I'm going to reside. Cause I'm like, I just like, I don't know. I'm not one for extremes. Like I definitely, I think I do go extreme with some of the things I'm passionate about at times cause I'm human, but,
of course,
as far as some of that goes, I learned a lot from the culture I grew up in and maybe, what I didn't want to be, you know?
Yeah. 100%. Like for me, straight edge, veganism, all that was positive. It was a positive thing for me. It was a positive. It positively affects my life in a good way. I'm a total spaz. I'm high on life. I'm spastic, and I feel like I never needed that stuff I never needed drugs, alcohol to be myself or feel a certain way or escape anything. Like I said, I lost my father too as well, and you know I didn't have that. I just skated like you and just focused on skating and not dating and listen to music. Like people made fun of me at school, like, "Oh, Toby's going to take his skateboard to the prom," or call me gay, or just make fun of me in school back then for like whatever. But like, man. I mean, we're very lucky in that sense. I don't know why we made such like very, very mature adult conviction choices at that age. Like, so at 13, I'm like, I'm never going to try that. I don't need this shit the rest of my life. And we just stuck to it. That's a very adult thing to do. And especially that young, especially that pain, that trauma, that everything, the drama in your house is everything. Like it could have been such an easy way to escape all that shit. And you were strong minded enough not to do that at a young age. That's powerful, man. It's really powerful.
Well, you can't but wonder too, with you and I specifically, where like, you know, losing our fathers at such young ages and the harsh realities and things like that, and the emphasis that puts on things like family, like relationships, friends, love, hobbies, whatever. And it's like, we just maybe because, other people are living kind of more innocent at that time, others aren't, and it forces a little more of an adult way of thinking or something, you know. I just wonder if it just kind of was like, you know, without even knowing it, kind of setting a course for life in the way of like, nah, this is how I'm going to be, because I'm thinking a little more clearly in the way that I recognize that there's accountability and, you know, my actions are going to have reactions, and I want to be on the right side of them, you know?
100%. You want to be control of your life. And
how often, like you and I, we've toured together so many times, and it's like, dude, we're two of the most like high energy, enthusiastic people
Totally.
behind the scenes. You know what I mean?
Totally.
We're just like fucking spazzes. And it's like, in high school, I didn't need anything, man. If you put a Mountain Dew or a Pepsi in me, I'd be fucking bouncing off the walls. So it's like, you don't want to fuck me up because I'm already the guy that's out of control, you know?
100%.
It would have been ugly.
So now you're out of school, and now did Strange Hit start in school?
That was like my high school band.
Okay.
A couple buddies, you know, it was one of those things that was like just an evolution after evolution. It was like this singer kid that was my buddy that we just skated together, decided to start a band. He played trumpet, and we weren't like starting a kind of band. We were just starting a band, you know, and the kind of music I loved and he loved was just so like across the board that we didn't really like commit to a style or anything at all, you know?
Yeah.
But meanwhile, like I had green hair and I fucking pierced my nose with the safety pin and like, you know, and it was like this punk, like little punker kid, but I wasn't like necessarily starting punk bands per se.
Yeah.
And then that band went through like 25 members, like, you know, those early day bands tend to do, you know? And then eventually it was like, all right, I should probably pull the plug on this name and call it something else. So I did that for a minute and had a band called Dumb Luck that was the same shit, just different name. Us playing like everything from like punk and metal to like funk and ska. Like we were just that band.
Everything,
you know?
Everything.
That you could see at like a Guitar Center grand opening.
Yeah. So
like,
true.
But it was fun. That's all that mattered, man. It was fun. And the problem I had songwriting as a drummer, at least, was me and my bandmates were always trying to emulate the bands we loved.
Gotcha.
So it'd be like, literally we'd play a song that you could refer to as like that band, you know, it's like, and so every song was like trying to be another band, and we just had zero identity, zero style of our own.
Gotcha.
We were just trying to emulate the bands we loved, and we were so like, we'd get so stoked when we could hear it and see elements of us like pulling that off a little bit. You know?
Yeah.
And then it was like Quinn Ullman and I, he was in my band. Well,
Quinn, yes.
Yeah. We had a band that derived from Dumb Luck that was the one I named The Used. And so Quinn and I were doing that. And then Jeff Howard became the bass player because he was our singer at the time.
Gotcha.
And he just wasn't a good singer at all, man. It was really bad. Excuse me. But something really changed drastically with the way Quinn and I wrote music. And because he and I wrote all the music to, you know, the first two albums in my career. Just him and I sitting down and writing everything and jamming. And so, but the thing that really changed for us was when Refused Shape of Punk to Come came out. And we somehow stumbled over the video of New Noise.
Sick song.
And it was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
You know, and it was like a take on all this music we loved. And it's like, well, it's kind of punk and kind of hardcore, but it's kind of metal. And it's kind of, you know, it's just so like, we didn't know what the fuck we were hearing. And there's like
so
electronic shit in there. And, and it just kind of took like the idea of like parameters and threw them out the window. And it was like, no, just fucking apply it all to one thing, you know, and just fucking vomit it out. And whatever that is your music, you know? And, and so we just kind of started writing music in the way of, it's like, no, like the grooves can be derived from punk, from hardcore, from funk, ska, whatever. But like, I could point out a million spots in our first records where the beats were, you know, influenced by a totally different genre of music, you know? And it was literally just all about the moment we stopped trying to emulate our influences and were just simply influenced by them was a massive turning point. And then every song we wrote from then on became the Used album,
crazy,
you know, and it was crazy. It was crazy. It was a big staple point in time. That's for sure.
Yeah. What year was that? What year did that first record come out?
2001 was when we started that band and started writing those songs.
Yeah. And where did Bert,
Oh, yeah.
Bert came from? He's like a local kid out there?
Yep. So we had played shows. He had this like pop punk band called I'm a Stupid that he was in, and they do like Op Ivy covers and shit.
Nice.
So me and Jeff would like go to their shows or just go to local shows because our scene was like non-existent, you know, and it had nothing to do with kinds of music. We would literally like rent out a veterans hall, and then we'd play with like the local hip hop act, the local metal act, the local whatever. And it was like, it didn't matter what kind of music you were. If you were a local Utah County musician, you were welcome, and we'd put on shows, you know?
Yeah, it's awesome.
And when there would be a skate park or a skate shop that could do a show or whatever. And so we came from that scene where everybody knew everybody because there were so few bands. And then we saw them playing like, it was like an ice cream like parlor kind of like something. And
makes sense.
And it was like 15 people standing around while they played. And then they started playing Op Ivy. And so me and Jeff just started like our own little circle pit, and we're dragging kids in with us and just making it fun, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, don't worry, I'll be in Rancid one day. This will be cool, you know? And like,
oh shit.
But no, but it was like, we just got to know him, and he was such a good kid, but he was like pretty hardcore straight edge.
Wow.
And he was very outspoken and preachy about it.
Bert?
Which was a little turn off because at first, yeah. And then he started this like hardcore straight edge band called Cobra Kai, and it was fucking ferocious, man. Like the raddest, like it was just good. And we saw that, and it was like him screaming, like every note was just blood curdling screams, and it was like, holy shit.
Yeah. Like
Bert can fucking scream, you know? And it was like, damn. But didn't like love the band, but he was fucking great.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden we heard he was like turned into this like major drug addict, and we were like, whoa, what happened? And he was like hooked on meth and then just disappeared.
Wow.
And we're like, what the fuck happened to Bert? And it was just like all rumors because no one knew what the fuck. Like we saw him show up to a show just totally fucked up and like, you know, jumped on stage with the band with his ass out the whole time, and it was just like the band was all super bummed, and everybody was just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, you know, and he just kind of got really shitty really quickly. And then when we were starting writing the music to use, Quinn and I, we were trying to find a singer when we were talking to Jeff, kind of had a heart to heart with him, like, dude, look, you know, and like, you're not a good singer, but we're gonna need something else. But and then it was actually his idea to play bass, which was awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then so we were like, Quinn one day was like, what's Bert up to these days? And so we just kind of called around to some friends asking about him, and he had just come out of rehab.
Oh shit.
And we're like, oh shit, okay. And we called him up and we're like, are you doing anything musical or anything right now? And he's like, no, but I'm wanting to. And so we brought him over and showed him this song that we had written.
Holy shit.
He took it home and wrote to it and came back the next day, and I recorded him. I had this little digital 8-track I was recording our shit on that I bought.
Yep.
And we recorded him in Jeff's mom's apartment's closet. It was awesome. and
holy shit.
And he's like sang this song, and it became the song Maybe Memories, which was the first song on our first album.
Okay.
And everything just clicked. It was like, holy shit. And it was just like, there it is. Like, all right, there it is. You know, and that was that.
So you started playing shows locally and started like, did you guys kind of grew really fast?
Kind of, and not at all. It was crazy because we had all been playing in our local scene for years and did the fuck out of it because there just weren't venues. There were a couple that would like cater to just the conservative college kids. Yeah. And so they wouldn't let any bands that were like heavy or punk or wild or anything interesting at all.
Gotcha.
It was like acoustic, like fucking college rock shit. So, so trying to play shows was just pulling teeth because it was like, we were just getting creative, and we'd try to go play a show there at this like venue, and then we'd be told we were never allowed to come back because we weren't a fit for like the venue. And it's like, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. So that kept happening. We played a couple skate park shows as the used. We did this comedy club.
Nice.
And it was our first show at a comedy club, and it was like 200 people or so, because everybody hearing it was like the guys from I'm Was Stupid and Strange Itch or whatever, and their new band. And so, dude, it was like we filled the room, which was awesome. But everybody just fucking stood there and stared at us the whole time. And it was really awkward because we were going fucking ape shit.
Yep.
Bert ended up throwing up all over the fucking stage because he was just screaming so hard. And then we finished and we're like, God damn, I think people hated us. And then the feedback was all so good. Like, everybody loved it. And we're like, well, what the fuck? Why'd you all just stand there staring at us? You know what I mean? It was like, and then the guy that booked the place came and told me, he's like, hey, the owner doesn't want bands like you guys playing here, and so you're not going to be able to come back. It's just like, what the fuck, man? Weird. Like, so we actually kind of just shifted our perspective, and we're like, you know what? Rather than fucking trying to play this fucking town to death playing shitty, tiny shows, let's just focus on our songwriting. And I had that little 8-track recorder, and we just fucking went to town just writing and writing and writing. And then just kind of prioritized that over shows for like 6 months.
Holy shit.
And literally, I think every song we wrote in that time was our debut album, except like we left like one song off, you know. But yeah, it was crazy. So we didn't like blow up in our scene at all. It was kind of like the scene was just it wasn't having it, you know. There was just no room for a band like us and to do anything, you know.
So the record came out, and did that record had a single and then a video on MTV too? Did it blow up right when it first came out? Or was it gradual? Like,
no, we actually
I can't remember.
So we were super skeptical about the music industry because being from Utah, there had never been a signed band to like a major label, and all we heard was all the bad shit you hear about, you know, major labels in the 90s. And so it was like, coming into 2001, 2002, the digital era is just beginning. iPods are just becoming a thing, all that shit. And it was just like, we had no idea. We teamed up with John Feldman because I had been sending him demos, and he was an unknown producer at the time, had only done a couple things that sounded like Goldfinger. And so he flew us out to LA, and we did a demo with him. And then he introduced us to John Reese and Paul Gomez, who became our managers and are just such great guys. And then he introduced us to Eric Greenspan, who became our lawyer, and he had represented like the Chili Peppers their entire career.
Nice.
And like, so we were just like, holy shit, like meeting all these people, and we had no idea what to expect. And so they all started shopping it, and all of a sudden we had like a dozen major labels trying to sign us, and we were getting flown out to New York and LA and doing showcasing. And so we just kind of pumped the brakes with the management. We're like, all right, let's cut this off here. Let's narrow it down to like our top 2 favorites, which was Island Def Jam and Warner Brothers.
Yep.
And it was like, who's going to just let us do what we want? Because we don't want that nightmare of a fucking major label situation to happen that we've heard about all our, you know, time playing music. And so the president of Warner Brothers at the time, and our A&R guy was Craig Aronson. He was the best fucking A&R guy, the best guy. Rest in peace.
That's right.
And
that's right.
Yeah. And so, but I mean, dude, he had signed everybody from like at the drive-in, and like he had been with Capitol for a while and was just signing really cool shit. He was actually one of the first guys to try to sign Green Day, and and he was just known for like signing shit that wasn't because it would be huge, but because it would change the way things were, you know?
That. Yeah, I like that.
And so he saw that in us, which was super cool. And the label was willing to let us have like complete creative control, everything from our album artwork and sequence to what we do with singles and things like that.
Damn,
and then
that's awesome.
The big thing for us was that we just told them we wanted to tour. We're like, we don't want you to take us to radio or MTV or any shit like that. We're like every one of our favorite bands that we all love, we found on our own. It wasn't fucking crammed down our throat on the radio or something like that. Like, it was finding bands at Warped Tour or finding bands through small shows and word of mouth and skate videos and all this stuff. And we're like, so we just need to get out there and start playing. And so rather than do anything like that, we arranged and got a budget to buy a motorhome.
Awesome.
And then we just
Smart.
fucking toured like crazy, dude. Like our longest break in the first like 2 years, our longest break we had at home was 10 days.
Wow.
And it was just nonstop. And so it wasn't until we had been at it for a while, we did like all of Warped Tour on like the side small stages where like, you know, we didn't have water. We didn't have anything. I remember.
No towels.
Do you remember like, yeah, dude, fuck no. Hell no. And like, do you remember like Yoo-Hoo was a big sponsor?
Yeah, man. Warm ass Yoo-Hoos. Yeah.
Yep. Dude, Yoo-Hoo and Easy Mac. And so we were living off of Yoo-Hoo and Easy Mac doing our first Warped Tour, and literally like we wouldn't even have stage water. We would have fucking Yoo-Hoo on stage with us because it was all we could get a hold of.
So gross.
You know?
Yeah.
I just remember playing those hot ass Warped Tour shows in under like a little tent out in the dirt because we were just a little band, and then like hot as hell in between songs, taking a swig of Yoo-Hoo. It's like, fuck, man.
Oh, water in the box, the box waters they had too. Oh my God. Man.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
And it was interesting. And I remember being at one point, like we'd be like on a day off maybe and go to like a music store and try to find our record because it was so exciting, and they wouldn't have it. We'd ask about it and we wouldn't be in their system. And it's like, oh shit.
Dang.
Like I thought having a record out would be a little different, you know, like I thought we'd be able to find it, you know, and it just was like, we went straight from that Warped Tour straight into Ozfest, and we didn't quite fit in entirely on either, but it worked with both, you know, and then right around then we had made our first like proper music video, and the band just organically started to blow up more and more, and then our album went gold after almost 1 year exactly.
That's fucking crazy.
So it's kind of crazy.
So the video came out before the record?
No, we didn't put a video out until we had been touring for quite a while.
Yeah.
And it was fun. We tried to just like, we did like a homemade little thing for a song called Box Full of Sharp Objects that just like Feldman put together with just footage of us fucking around when we were doing our demo and stuff. Yeah. And otherwise, we finally recorded or filmed our first proper video. I believe it was the Malloys that made it. They had done like... I
remember that, the Malloy brothers. Yeah.
Yeah, they'd done like a handful of Blink videos at the time. And
was that the Taste of Ink?
But, yeah.
Yep. Okay.
And dude, we brought like everyone out for that video that we had, like all of our new friends we had met and were doing stuff with, like Craig Aronson had a little cameo in there, like buying some shit in the gas station. Chris Markovich was there, like skating with me in the video.
That's cool.
And Paul Gomez was in the video. Like we just tried to make it like this total like friends and family vibe, and tried to make it. That whole video was like about our story and me working at Burlington Coat Factory, tagging things in the back, you know, warehouse, and because that was my last job I had.
That's so sick.
And but it was fun, man. It was a good experience.
Yeah.
You know?
And so when that video came out, that was kind of like a game changer because you guys have already been touring. Your name's out there. You've been grinding the Warped Tours and all these different tours. And then when the video came out and all that, it kind of changed everything, did it?
Yeah, it was just kind of playing catch up a little bit, where it was like bands started to blow up bigger than we were doing things. So that was where we started to kind of take it a little more to like TV and radio and stuff, where it was nice because it was organic, where it was like people asking for a video, people asking for another single and stuff like that, where it was cool. Cause again, we all kind of came from that, I don't know that you can call it underground just because we were from such a small town, but we were just so skeptical of this industry and MTV and all these things that it was just like, all right, but we're going to do this fucking our way because we're not going to, you know, like just do whatever mainstream bullshit so we don't have a career in 2 years from now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Come out with a big single that everybody's forgotten about the next year, you know? And
so
it was really important to us, and we brought a lot of that like punk rock ethos that we had come up on with us, and that approach of just being more DIY and kind of earning it. And not letting like it just felt like there wasn't integrity to do it any other way.
Yeah.
You know, like this was the only way we could feel good about it and keep it pure and I don't know, just protect it, because we were really paranoid.
It was your baby.
And none of us, we all came from like poor backgrounds, so none of us gave a fuck about making money from it.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, wait, so we can quit our jobs and just go tour?
Yeah.
Like, fuck yeah. Like, we didn't have homes or apartments or anything we had to pay rent on. We were just fucking squatting wherever, and so it didn't matter, and we could just go play shows and then come back and crash with whoever and then take off on another tour, and so we didn't give a fuck about that. So luckily we could keep the intention for all the right reasons and just really protect it. And I think it showed, you know, I think that resonated with people, and I think it was something that a lot of people like us were the people that became big fans of that band, because they saw us and them and us, and we were all just cut from the same cloth, you know?
What was it like going back after that, like playing Utah after that? Because you guys weren't really playing that much, but then you went out and did it on your own, then came back to your hometown. What was that like?
It was awesome, man. It was like the first couple times we did, we were just playing some of the super small, like independent venues in our county, you know, not going to Salt Lake City with things. We just played like right there, other than like if Warped Tour or something came to Utah. But it was so fun to just be like, you could feel a lot of pride from our scene, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
But a lot of mixed things, because again, we were the first signed band in Utah history to a major label, unless you count like Donnie Marie Osmond or something, you know, but like
Donnie Marie Osmond.
But like there was that band Iceburn that was on Revelation Records.
Yeah, that's right.
They were from Salt Lake City.
That's right.
And that was really the biggest like claim to fame that Utah had at the time.
Wow.
And so for us to be on like Warner Brothers, but yet like doing shit our way and didn't have that like major label vibe to it at all. It was like, now if this is what a major label is like, we've been told wrong, because we are running shit 100% and like
sick.
Picking everything we do. No one's telling us what to do, and it's fucking great, you know?
Yeah.
So it was awesome, man. People were really warm, and then there'd be like the handful of people that didn't know how to take it, because, you know, it was like watching their friends blow up and do good. And it was just like, sorry, like, I don't know. Like,
I mean, it's,
weird situation. Like,
well, it sounds like,
man, I don't,
go ahead.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just weird. Like, even like my mom had disowned me at the time before I was in a band, like,
what?
You know, and wouldn't talk to me, told me not to call her my mom. And,
wow.
You know, she just didn't support what I was wanting to do.
Yep.
And, but then it was weird how like suddenly if I'm on television or on a magazine cover, I became the favorite son, you know? And
interesting.
That was a tricky time to work through, because I would like, if I'd go visit her house, you know, her whole living room was covered in like my shit and my gold record and my photos of me for magazines. And then like way down the hall would be like my siblings and photos of them and their families. And I'm just like, Mom, fuck, you know, like
favoritism and stuff. Yeah.
And I was like literally like what I'm doing goes against everything you wanted me to do. And like, you know, and it's like, and you're just glorifying me for all the wrong reasons. Like, I was like, if you want to be proud of me, cause I like endured all this, like, you know, shit. And
I survived living in a house.
My dreams come true. Yeah. Like that's cool. But like, and I told her, I was like, next time I come over, I want to make sure there's as much of my siblings on that wall as there me, you know? And I was like, cause that's fucked up. Like, what does that say to all of them? You know, like that them and their families and the lives they chose to live aren't fucking worthy of, like, you know, I just felt like it was really shitty. And as much as I appreciated that she turned around and was being proud, it was for the wrong reasons. And I felt like that was really shitty to my siblings. And
almost like showing you off.
She was
to
receptive.
them.
And you know what I mean? And it was like my little sister would have like friends conveniently over that looked like they'd all be in My Chemical Romance, and it's just like just to get a glimpse of me. And I'm like, all right, shit. Hi kids. This isn't a fucking meet and greet. I'm here to see my mom. Like, fuck, you know,
get off my porch.
But yeah, you know,
wow, hometown heroes.
She came around and was like, she was really receptive to that and did exactly that. Like literally took down that shit and put up photos of the family everywhere.
That's cool.
And you know, it was cool. It was cool. There was, you know, everything took a while, but it got to a good point eventually, you know?
Yeah. And one of those tours we did with you was the Boxcar Racer H2O Used tour.
Hell yeah.
That was 2004, I think, right?
I think so. Yeah, I believe so. I think I want to say it was like close to winter because I think that ended right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that was a great tour, man. It's such a fun tour, man.
Dude, to this day, that was one of my top tours of my career for sure.
That's awesome.
And it was like there was so much rad stuff about it. That was our first tour to have a tour bus.
Nice.
We had never been on a bus before that one.
Yeah.
And the Boxcar Racer guys, remember they had like catering and shit some of the times?
Man.
Like,
yeah, man.
It was just like,
no joke.
It was like a whole new world of touring. Like, what is this? Like, I get to go to sleep and wake up at the venue and I don't even have to fucking drive. Like,
bro.
What? You know, and it was crazy. And then I was so intimidated going into that tour because between Todd Friend and Travis Barker, I was just like, fuck, like, how am I supposed to share a stage with these guys? Like, I was so nervous. I was like, oh my God, this is like incredible drummers and bands that fucking shred. And I got to go like do my thing. And like, oh my God, like that was intimidating.
You ain't too shabby. You ain't too shabby
rad.
Yourself, my friend.
What's that?
I said you ain't too shabby. You ain't too shabby yourself. You did well, man. You guys killed it, man.
Thank you.
Those are great shows, man. Like it was such a good little pack. It was a different, diverse package, and like I think the timing of that tour, just everything, there was a lot of good energy at those shows, you know.
Yeah, I loved it. That was such a great tour. I loved it.
Did you guys? So did you guys drop another single off that first record after Taste of Ink? There was another one. There was another one.
Yeah, we did. We did one called "Buried Myself Alive."
Yeah, that's the one. Yep.
Yeah, and then I'm trying to think.
That did well too, though. That did well, though. That did well. Both of them did great. Yeah.
There were a couple like of the more mellow songs that we wanted to get to. There was one that's always been a favorite of mine called "Blue and Yellow."
Mm-hmm.
That's a little more chill song. That's like one of my favorite beats I ever wrote, and
nice.
We never quite got around to like pushing those as singles because it just felt like we needed to take a break from tour and then we need to write a new record. So we just, the moment we stopped touring, we started writing our second record, you know, but yeah, that first one, that was a hell of a run, man. It was nuts.
Yeah. Did that end up going platinum, I think, didn't it?
What's that?
Did that go platinum, the first one?
Yeah, they
sure.
Both the records I did with the Used went platinum.
Wow.
But it was such a tease because they were both in like the 900,000s and platinum's a million for anybody that doesn't know. But they were so close when I was kicked out of the band.
Oh man.
Like they were so close to platinum and it just like broke my heart. And so it took all this time and they just barely went platinum earlier this year.
Wow.
That was last year. Yeah, last year they went platinum.
Did you get a plaque?
So it took a minute. Yeah, I got plaques for both.
Awesome. Yeah, that's sick, man. That's amazing.
It was actually funny because the companies had me like doing all the work, like sorting that out and getting the plaques done and everything. I'm like, you know, I haven't been in the band for 14 years, right?
Wow, man, that's crazy.
Yeah. I'll continue to sort out the business for this band.
What
that was my role in the band.
What year did you get kicked out? What year was that?
2006.
Dude, that's like almost bittersweet, man. A blessing and a curse, or a blessing in disguise, because then you end up being in your favorite band, which is, how long was that gap in between getting kicked out and then and then trying out for Rancid?
2 months.
Wow, man.
It was only 2 months.
Holy shit.
Well, no. Sorry, 3 months. 3 months.
That is freaking incredible, man.
And dude, ironically, today's August 1st, right?
Yes, sir.
This is the anniversary of me getting kicked out. I got kicked out on August 1st, 2006.
Holy shoot. I guess happy anniversary.
Yeah,
right?
I guess, yeah.
Yo,
and then it was it was October. It was November 1st that I joined Rancid.
Holy shit. That's incredible,
what a
man.
whirlwind, man.
Yo, that's incredible. I mean, that's a similar story to Adam Blake, who got kicked out of shelter, and then maybe 2 or 3 months later, he was back in America trying out for H2O. That's crazy, man.
So rad.
And he
love that.
Yeah, we became so tight with him on the H2O shelter until he started riding in our van with us and totally connecting with him. So that was pretty amazing, because otherwise he would have just been, he just went back to England. You know what I mean? So I'm glad we made that connection.
Yeah.
But I mean, things happen for a reason, bro, for sure.
It's crazy, you know, and like 2003 it was a very different year than 2002, because that 2002 we were like the tiny band, like in a tent in the dirt on Warped Tour.
Yes.
And 2003 we were one of the headliners. And then
it's crazy, man.
One of the most incredible years, because Rancid was on there too as a headliner.
Oh,
and that whole lineup, dude, it was like AFI, Dropkick Murphys, Thrice, Glassjaw, like so many awesome bands. Like that was, in my opinion, the best year Warped Tour ever. You know? So I've always been a massive Rancid fan. You know, it's certainly, you know, my favorite punk band. Like, I mean, forever. Like since I first fucking heard them. You know, and so it was a trip, because hell, I've been listening to Rancid for longer than I've been playing drums. You know, like
it's crazy.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
But we became friends on that tour, and would just like, you know, hang little bits here and there, and get to know each other. And it was like a dream, man. Like these guys were just legends. Yeah. You know, and the fucking coolest. And so it was awesome to get to know everybody. And you know, Matt Freeman always jokes that my only audition was when he and I first met, which was actually in New York. I had a day off tour, and Transplants were on tour with Foo Fighters.
Oh shit! I remember that tour. Yeah.
So and my day off, I took a train from wherever the hell I was into the city and went to this Transplants show, and then we all went to dinner, like a big crew of mutual friends, and I happened to be seated across from Matt Freeman and his wife.
No way, dude. That's crazy.
We just started making conversation and like, hey, how's it going? Like, I'm Branden, and I was just chatting it up with them and with her, and she's so sweet. I love Betsy, but and then he always jokes that was like my real audition, because if I wouldn't have been so nice to Betsy that night, then he would have never fucking let me join that band.
Wow, that's fucking funny, man.
I was like, that's awesome.
That lasting impression. That's amazing. That's awesome. So were you nervous? Did you have a tryout?
No, that was the thing. So
what?
So I had been out of the band, and dude, I was gutted, because the whole reason I got fired was because I've been sober, you know? And I was just like, I'm probably one of the first people to get fired from a band for not partying. Like, that's got to be a first. You know what I mean?
That sounds so crazy when you say it like that. Oh, that's so true. Wow.
I was like, what the fuck is that? Like,
fun, bro.
Band.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I named the band. I fucking produced our demos that got us fucking signed. I fucking networked everything. I negotiated our record deal. I fucking wrote our set list. I would do fucking everything. And it was just like, but I wouldn't party. And it was like, they said they wanted somebody more like them, and I was too different, and I got fucking fired. And because like management, label, producer, no one fucking stood up and was like, yo, this is fucked. You're going to ruin this shit. Don't do this. You know? And I was like, if that's the kind of industry I'm in, where I can fucking be loyal to my band, fucking focused on the work and performing,
be fired.
I'm loyal to my wife at the time. I was like, I'm just honest and fucking working hard, and that's going to get me fired. You know, I was like, fuck this industry. Like, I'll go fucking get a day job and play drums for fun, because fuck that. Yeah. You know, and I had such a bad taste in my mouth where I was like, nah, fuck this shit. And then that couple months went by, and Max Weinberg, bless his heart, he would call me like once a week and just give me like pep talks and just fucking like legal advice. And he'd be like, I'll never forget it. He was like, you know, when Bruce broke up the E Street Band in '87, Ringo Starr would call me all the time and check on me and give me advice and stuff. And he's like, so I'm just hoping I can, you know, do the same for you. And
wow,
it was blowing my fucking mind. I'm like, are you serious? Like, who the fuck am I? Like, this is insane, you know?
That's amazing.
It was just crazy.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, I was driving with my best friend Spike, heading to a Rancid show.
Spike. Love Spike.
Yeah.
Shout Spike.
Still one of my best friends on earth. Awesome. And we were driving to the Rancid show, and I was on the phone with Max the whole way up there, and he's just pep talking me and just being so rad. Cool. We get there, we're side stage right before Rancid goes on, and the guys see me, and they're like, dude, like, we heard what happened. That's fucked. Stick around afterward. Like, come hang out. And I was like, all right. And so they're giving me like shout outs on stage and shit, which was super fucking rad. And then we go on the bus afterward, and the whole band is like, dude, it's like band and crew. Everyone's in the front lounge of the bus. And I'm just like telling my story, what happened. And everyone's just throwing in like their 2 cents. Yeah. And a lot of the guys are like, fuck that band. You were the only one we liked anyway. Like, you know, like it was funny, but they were just so cool and supportive, and they're like, maybe just like try starting a band with your friends, or, you know, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I did that, and this is where it got me.
Yeah, exactly. You know?
And so they're like, just hang in there, you know, something will work out. And then Tim was like, he's like, dude, I got a good feeling about you. Just don't give up, you know, like. And I'm like, fuck yeah, like, all right. Between all of Rancid, you know, my fucking punk rock heroes, and Max Weinberg, these people telling me not to give up on this shit. Yeah. I was like, fuck yeah. So I just started playing drums every day, like fucking anything and everything, and just digging in. Yeah. I hadn't touched my kit in months at that time. Wow. And I'll never forget it, dude. I fucking got an email or a text from Tim, because he had been texting me like every couple of days since that show, just checking on me. And he texted me and was like, hey, give me a call. And I was like, what the hell? Like, wow. All right. Like, that's different. And then I call him up, and he's like, he sounds like down. And I'm like, hey man, like, what's going on? And he's like, yeah, I'm just home, you know, in between shows and whatever. We're off for a few days. And he's like, but Brett Reed just quit Rancid. And I was just fucking gutted, dude, because I thought he's basically telling me Rancid broke up. And it was just like, fucking no. Like, you know, and I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, yeah, we got this tour in like 4 days or whatever. This like 3.5 week UK tour. And he's like, so we're just wondering, will you do it? And I was just like, without a doubt, I was like, fuck yeah. And he's like, hell yeah. And I'm like, and dude, I had tears running down my face that I was trying to hide. I was like, man, instantly like nauseous and just flooded with fucking emotion, dude. Like, sure, man, it was incredible. Wow. And I'm gonna have Lars call you and give you some songs to learn. I'm like, all right. And Lars calls me and gives me 25 songs to learn in 2 days. And I'm like, okay. And I played drums fucking all day and all night, like every day, you know, just, and it was like, it wasn't new. Like, these are songs I've known forever, but I would never play drums to Rancid. I was more likely to like fucking play guitar or like, you know, whatever with friends and Rancid songs. So I never like sat down and played drums to Rancid songs. Yeah. But so just learning like the little subtle differences and spots here and there and tempos, you know, it was like, I had a lot to fucking learn. And, I flew out to LA, shipped my drums to fucking England. Wow. And flew out to LA to practice on this, like, just whatever kit we could get a hold of up there. And those guys just like bombarded me. They walk in the room of this like little rehearsal spot, and they're like, hey, and they all give me hugs, pick up their guitars. And Lars was like, should we play Roots? And just starts Roots Radicals. Wow. I'm like, oh my God. Like, they've been in the room for less than a minute. You know what I mean? I was like, holy shit, we're going. You know, and I'm like, what's happening? Dude, like, I fucking hadn't stopped being nauseous in 2 days. And I was like, oh my God. And I just fucking played the song, did my part. we finished. They were stoked. They're like, hell yeah, like sounded great. And they're like, let's try a fast one. And so they wanted to play It's Quite All Right.
Yep.
And I'm like, all right. And so we play that song, but the album version doesn't have many fills in there.
Okay.
But I know the vocal and stuff, so I know there's just some room to breathe and some room to do some stuff. So we play that song, and I just flexed a tiny bit and just threw a few fills in here and there that didn't want to step on the vocal or anything. And we got done with that one, and they were all just like laughing and like, "Oh my god!" You know. And I was
That's
like,
fucking cool, man.
Super stoked. And then they're like, "Let's take a break." And I'm just like, "What? Like, we've been playing for 4 minutes, you know? Like,
we just played 20 songs in 4 minutes." Okay, ahead.
Yeah. I'm like, "Oh my god!" And then we go outside, and they're like passing around a phone, I think, talking to a lawyer or something, and doing whatever. And I'm just kind of sitting there on this bench, and then Freeman and they all come and sit down right in front of me, and they're like, "All right, so we'd like you to join Rancid permanently as a full quarter member. Like, are you down?"
Fucking played 2 songs.
And I was like, "Dude, 2 songs." And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And they're like, "Fuck yeah, let's go play." And we went in. We didn't even rehearse the rest of the set. We only played a handful more songs. And then the next day we got to rehearse again and only played a few songs. And they're like, "You'll be fine." And I'm like, "Fuck." And we fucking got on a plane to England. It was insane, dude.
Wow, man. That's
fucking insane.
It sounds like a movie. So, and it was a big show in England, I'm sure, man.
Right? Like, the whole thing, man, it was a whirlwind. Like, that tour, I'll never forget that first show. I think it was in Manchester. I could be wrong. But that first show, man, I was so nervous, but so excited. And it was just like, man, like, it just, and everyone, you could tell the nerves were there, you know, and I was trying to keep my shit cool because I didn't want the other guys to be nervous. Like, I wasn't confident, you know, but at the same time, I was just like, fuck. You know, like, and
it's probably very surreal, man. Yeah.
Oh, dude, the most surreal thing. And the moment we started, it all just went away, and it went fucking great.
Wow, that's incredible, man. That's incredible. Just like you playing with your favorite band, and like, fuck, man. It just seems like, it seems like it happened really fast, and you can't even like really understand what's happening until after you probably. So after you played that first set, you probably must have been so fucking psyched.
Oh yeah. Well, and the funny thing was, after our first rehearsal, Lars gave me 13 more songs to learn,
Holy
and then
shit.
Every night of that tour, they'd give me a couple more songs to learn because they don't. You know, they're playing a different set every night.
Yeah, man.
And so we were playing like a 30-song set, but that was a different 30 song. You know, we'd keep a few of the same, but it was like they just like to switch up the set, rotate songs in and out. And so it was just kept me on my toes for sure, you know, and fuck, it was crazy. And then here's another side story. This was one of my favorite fucking things to ever happen. We were playing the first San Francisco show. So it was their first hometown show in like January of 2007.
Okay.
And I think, or maybe it could have been December 2006, somewhere around there. So I was nervous, but super excited because first hometown show, I just needed to deliver for all their friends and family and, you know, like let everybody rest easy that like, I'm not here to fucking ruin this band. You know,
yeah, exactly.
I was like, you know, and just felt like I had something to prove a little bit. And no, not even, I take that back. It wasn't, I didn't feel like I had something to prove. It was just more that I knew what this band meant to me.
Totally.
And what it would mean to me to know that that's, you know, on the verge of changing. And I wanted to kind of bring the relief to people that like, no, our favorite band is still our favorite band. Yes. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't going away, you know, and I just wanted it to remain special for people. And, but so like the day before that show, we're all like, you know, they pull us all together for like a band meeting in the front of the bus. And Tim tells us that Jesse Michaels hit him up because we had been playing Op Ivy songs in our set, and we were doing, one in particular that's my favorite Op Ivy song, which is Unity. And my first band, Strange Itch, used to cover Unity. Nice. We would have it on our fucking album. Our little ghetto CD we made has our cover of Unity on it.
Yeah.
And so he's like, yeah, Jesse wants to come out and sing Unity with us. And I'm like, oh my God. Like I was like, oh my God.
That's
like fucking
awesome.
Mind blown.
Yeah.
And so everybody agreed and they were down. Jesse came out to the show and, we fucking played Unity, which is the closest thing to an Op Ivy reunion that's ever happened, because that was everyone from Operation Ivy except Dave Mello, and I had his part, and then Lars was playing, so it was insane, dude.
That's
one of the
incredible,
fucking
man.
Raddest moments ever.
Yeah, and so the crowd must have been fucking went crazy.
Oh yeah, yeah. San Francisco crowd, like seeing Op Ivy basically play Unity, like. And just no fucking, like, no heads up about it at all. Just kind of a subtle, like, we're going to bring a friend out on this next one kind of thing. And then it's like, Jesse Michaels. And it was like, I counted it off and we fucking played it.
That's incredible. Is that the only time that's ever happened with him?
Oh, yeah. Yep,
wow,
only time.
dude. Holy shit. That's awesome, man.
And my first show in hometown San Francisco for those guys.
So what was it like coming back to Utah playing with Rancid for the first time? That must have been awesome.
That was awesome. Well, so that has a story too. Everything's got a long story. I'm fucking so long-winded.
Nah, bro, I love you. Go ahead. This is great.
But so my first show in Salt Lake City, I was so fucking excited. We had all these arrangements made. There's fucking like 200 people on my guest list or something crazy. Like it was insane. And then the day of the show, something happened, and Matt Freeman woke up and couldn't fucking move his arm.
Oh, I remember this shit, dude. I remember this, dude.
Yeah. And it was like, what? And I kind of thought people were fucking with me. Like, yeah, we need you to come to the venue. And like, yeah. Like, I was on my way for sound check, and I get there, and he's just in the worst fucking pain.
I remember this. Something
happened. We don't know what. They took him to a hospital. They didn't know what the fuck was going on, but he, like, couldn't move his fucking arm.
Wow.
And so we had to fucking cancel the show.
Oh, man.
It was 2 nights.
Holy shit.
2 nights in Salt Lake, and we canceled them. And we had Vegas, like, after those shows. So the shows got canceled, and everybody just headed to Vegas. And I'm just like, fuck.
Man.
Now instead of playing at home, I'm spending 2 days off in Vegas. Like, fuck. Like, it was such a bummer.
But you went back. You went back. Damn.
Nothing on Matt at all. You know what I mean? Like, I had his back, and we got to look out for each other. You know what I mean? Like, of course. But just, I was so fucking excited, and there was so much planned. And
I'm sure.
You know, so, but I don't think it didn't take too long for us to get back there and do the makeup shows.
Nice.
Might have been a few months even, but everybody was good about getting back out and doing the shows, and we did, and it just fucking went off, and they were super cool, and I was saying some shit to the crowd and here and there, and just like the love was just incredible. And I've always had so much support from my hometown, my home state, and you know, it means the world to me. Like, through thick and thin, there's been so many people that have had my back, so it's been incredible.
Yeah, it's Freeman's obviously all good now, but did he have to miss a couple more shows, or just he was okay after that?
No, yeah, he was good. I think they put some shots, like I feel like he got like some homeopathic shots or something into it, and things like that just chilled out whatever was going on, and he ended up being fine.
Yeah.
But it's just a fluke thing that kicked in just in time for those 2 shows, you know?
That's crazy, man. And then what about, did the guys in the U's ever got to see you play with Rancid?
Kind of. We happened to play just a few years ago. We were on the same festival together.
Oh, okay.
And Bert and Jeff popped over. There was I had run into those guys a few times, you know, and Bert called me on his birthday. He called me like after, I don't remember how long it had been, not a year, but he called me at like 3 a.m. one time, and I'm just like, and I remember that because he called and like, so what do I owe the pleasure? And because I haven't talked to anybody, they just ghosted me, and so he's like, it's my birthday. I'm like, well, happy birthday. Is that why you called? You know? And he's like, I miss you. And I'm like, yeah, well, you know, and like, I kind of like was letting him have it a little bit, but just because he didn't have my back. And I was like, dude, like, yeah, you weren't the one that fired me, but you also didn't fucking stand up for me either.
Exactly.
You know? And it was just like, I was really hurt, of course, you know. Again, I started the band. I fucking named the band. I did everything. Like, but I know it wasn't all me. It relied on all four of us.
Totally.
You know, and so I was really hurt, but we talked for fucking hours, and it was great, and everything was cool, and
nice, and
you know, it was all good. And then, like the next time they came to Salt Lake City, I popped up just to say hi to him, and that was
cool.
it. And I was still bummed at Jeff because they tried to fire him several times, and even making our records, you know, the producer and people would be like wanting to get somebody else, and I was like the dude that was like, no, fuck that.
Had his back.
This is our brother, and he's the bass player, and no, like, you know, and so it really hurt me that if I wouldn't have fought for him as many times as I did, he wouldn't have been in the band. And so it just sucked that when it came up for the idea to kick me out, that he just went along with it so easily, you know? And
I get
so it took me a while to be cool with him, you know, and after a while, it's just like, you know what? The pain has gone away. It is what it is. And, you know, life goes on. So, you know, I hate to say it's all good, but it's all good. You know? and then fucking, I got into a situation that was interesting because I was filling in on drums for Goldfinger, and they were playing Grows Rock in Belgium.
Okay.
And so I'd committed to doing the show. I'd done a handful of shows with them already. And then it was like the day before I left to fly out there that Feldman gave me a heads up, like, just so you know, the Used are also on this show. And I'm just like, what? Like, now you fucking tell me?
The day before,
And he's like, so, you know, like, they're going to be there. They're going to be hanging around. Like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I don't fucking know, you know? And I was just like, like, because I hadn't seen or talked to Quinn, and Quinn was the one that fired me.
Gotcha.
And so I was like, Jesus, like, I don't know what I'll fucking do when I see this guy. I don't know if I'll hug him, if I'll punch him, if I'll fucking ignore him. Like, I don't know, you know?
How many years had it been since you saw him?
Fuck. Maybe 2.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I lose track of that timeline a bit.
Yeah.
I could probably figure it out with a little thought, but who has time for that?
Yeah, that's okay.
But, but it was awesome because, like, we got to that show and fuck, everybody was there, dude. Like, I feel like, who all was it? Dropkick Murphys were playing.
Yep.
I feel like Madball was there, but maybe not.
What year was that?
Would have been probably like 2008, maybe 2009.
Yeah, we might have been there too, actually.
I forget,
man.
but like,
I might have been there, actually. I'm looking it up right now. Yeah.
We just had so many of like
mutual friends there, yeah. I just lost you.
Home, you know?
Yeah.
And so I wasn't sweating if I saw those guys. It's like, nah, I don't give a fuck. Because at first I was uncomfortable. I was like, well, fuck, I'm not like with my band. I'm not with like my people. Like, these guys are my friends, but it just wasn't quite the same, you know? So I was just like uncomfortable about the situation until I got there and was just like, nah, this is where I belong. And I'm surrounded by people that I respect and respect me. And, and it was all good. Yeah. And then, I'll never forget I was in catering. I'd already played, and Quinn came walking in, and I was just like, I called out to him. I'm like, Quinn, I'm like, are you trying to avoid me? And I was like, get the fuck over here. And I just got up and gave him a huge hug, and something just in that moment completely went away.
It's awesome, man.
And it didn't matter anymore. Like, I loved the dude. It was like, no, this is my fucking friend, man. Like, yeah, he made a bad decision, and it fucked all of us because that band fucking started to plummet after that. Their first record they made without me got rejected from the label when they submitted it.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And it was like, again, things I don't take credit for myself. That's not about me. But I like to use the analogy. It's like say you have like the perfect recipe for fucking chocolate chip cookies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, if you take out one of those ingredients, it's not saying that's the main ingredient, but if you take it out, you're going to fuck up that perfect recipe.
Yeah.
You know,
Good point. It's a great answer.
and our lineup was like a perfect recipe. And by removing it, Dan, who took my place, is an incredible fucking drummer. He really is. So it's not about ability. It was just not the same recipe, and it fucked them, you know? And they're still doing their thing. I can't say they're fucked, but we were certainly in our prime.
Yeah.
Before that, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, Quinn and I have been cool ever since.
Awesome.
You know, he's one of my best friends. We're writing music together and doing a lot of things together. And I love that dude.
That's incredible.
I've forgiven him. We've had 1,000 talks about it. And it's all good, you know? Yeah. It's all good.
That's good to be in a place, getting a place like that too. That's awesome. You know what I mean? Move forward and shit for sure.
And that's not a life I want to live, you know, carrying that fucking darkness of like hatred or bitterness, you know, it's like, that's an ugly way to live.
Yeah.
It's not a good look, you know?
No.
So for me, it's like, yeah, you know, and I don't know what's going on these days. Because those guys fired Quinn like 3 years ago.
Oh shit. Okay. I know that.
And it was like a weird, ugly situation where like he just needed a break because him and Bert were butting heads a lot. And so he asked for a break from touring, and he taught a kid all the guitar parts to fill in for him, and it was all good. Yeah. And then in the middle of that tour, there was a Facebook post saying, "We'd like to wish Quinn like the best on his future endeavors. Like, we've agreed to part ways." Oh. And he was just like, "We what?" And no one would like take his calls, and no one would fucking talk to him. And and it just turned into an ugly thing. He got into a lawsuit with them, and it was just like shit got fucking stupid. That like sucks. Between them. Yeah. And it was like, man, like that sucks. But then me and Jeff, me and Quinn, or me and Bert, everybody, we were all good. But then when Quinn and I started letting it be known to like the public that we were making music and working on things, I think they might have not been stoked on that, because now none of them talk to me, and I don't know what's going on. So I think they don't like that I'm cool with Quinn, but it's like, come on, this is the guy that fired me, and I'm cool with him. Mm-hmm. Like, you're gonna have a problem with me for having a problem with that guy? Like, that's a fucking silly circle of drama I don't need to involve myself with. Mm-hmm. So I'm good with all of them as far as I'm concerned. So I just wish them all the best, you know?
Yeah, man, you're in a good place. You're Rancid. Was it crazy making your first? So Let the Dominoes Fall was your first album you made with Rancid, correct?
Yeah.
That must have been exciting to making music with them. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a trip, and one part that made it fun was we wrote most of the record at my house in Utah.
That's cool.
And so the guys came out. We wrote in my basement studio for like a week at a time for 3 months, and it was awesome. Just recorded demos for Gurwitz. That's cool. And then we actually went to Skywalker Ranch to make that album.
I remember hearing about incredible. That. That's insane, man.
Dude, it was so rad. And what an inspiring place for like, literally like down the hall, the animators were making Wall-E, you know?
Wow,
and then,
I remember Wall-E, yeah.
There was, yeah, dude. What a fucking rad movie that was. And just like, you're surrounded by like all of these talented people doing fucking cool shit. There were like these Foley artists that were recording all the, I believe that's how you say it, Foley, or is it Foley? Foley?
No.
But they were recording all the Foley art for the first Iron Man movie in the studio next door.
Great movie, man.
And so like these girls were like roll in that were like the artists with like these baskets full of metal that they just like were buying scraps of metal and all these things just to scrape them together and make noises that were like all of the Iron Man suit sounds and shit.
That's sick.
And so we like befriended all of them and got to like jump in on a little like Foley where we were like the feet noises standing up in the room at the end when he says he's Iron Man.
No,
you know,
that's sick.
That's like me and Tim and Rachel Tejada, and you know, like that's our feet.
That's
you know?
So cool, man. Wow.
Just like fun. It was just a cool fucking experience. A cool place. And then But man, making the record was a trip. It was my first time working with Gerwitz. Everything was so
what a genius,
different.
Man.
The approach where
shout out to Brett Gerwitz.
Yeah,
what a genius, dude. Wow.
And just a fucking one of the smartest people.
Dude.
Like, and so it was awesome getting to know him, work with him, and then the approach was just so loose and wild. I fucking loved it. It was
nice.
Like the whole time I've been in Rancid, I don't know if we've recorded a song in more than 3 takes. And we do everything live with the whole band playing together except for vocals. And
cool, man.
It'll be on a click sometimes not. Just depends on the vibe. If Gerwitz likes it this way or if we're feeling it more one way or the other. It's like it just doesn't. There's not a rule, it's whatever makes sense for that song.
Yep.
But man, it was a fucking trip. And then we'd do some of the extra songs later that like Tim would like walk into a room with an acoustic and show like all of us, including Gerwitz, like a song idea he had.
Yep.
And then he'd be like, yeah, what about like this? And he'd just kind of play something, and Gerwitz would be like, it sounds great. Let's record it.
Wow.
We're like, oh shit. And so I'd just like try to memorize the structure and everything and the arrangement. And I would just fucking go in and we'd literally record like 1 take, and Gerwitz would be like, sounds great. Let's move on. And like, oh my God, that's the one and only time I've ever played that song. Like,
That's incredible.
So weird.
That's amazing energy, man. Wow. Fuck.
Dude, there's so many songs on our records that I could show you that the one and only time I've played them was the track you're hearing on the album,
Wow.
Like, it was crazy. That song, there was one, I don't remember if it's on that record, another one, but the Locomotive was a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
There was one of the, I don't know, fuck, I won't even go into naming them. There's so many, but yeah, it was crazy.
So how'd you guys end up at the Skywalker Ranch to record? I know that he was in a studio there. Like, how's it even happen?
Hang on, can I put you on pause? Can I pause you for just a sec?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go pee. Let's pause for 1 second, all right?
Yep, me too.
Okay, we are back. We just took pee breaks right now. I'm going to be 100% on. If I should say this now, who cares? My wife's not going to listen to it. Yo, nobody's home in my crib right now, and I'm on a juice cleanse, and I pissed in a bottle sitting at my kitchen table during this podcast, and it's on my table.
What'd you do?
I pissed in a bottle while I was doing the podcast with you earlier because I'm on a juice cleanse and I'm pissing like crazy. Max, oh shit, Max is out there. So there's a piss bottle on my table. Oh my God, that's so fucked. But Brandon just wanted to take a piss break. So Max, I peed in a bottle, man. I'm sorry. So my question was, how does
dude.
How do you guys end up on Luke Skywalker Ranch?
Hang on. Remember that story when we did the H2O tour in Europe and our tour manager's pillowcase?
What? Tell me. I forgot. I had to go to the bathroom. Oh my God.
It was you.
That's right. I had to go to the bathroom. Oh my God, dude. Yo, man, it's hard on the road when you have to go number 2, whatever, man. Oh my God, I do remember that. That's so fucked.
Dude, you managed to do that with none of us knowing in the van while we're driving.
Yeah,
you shit in a pillowcase.
You're right. There had to have been a plastic. There had to have been a plastic lining in there though too.
Yeah, I think you had a bag. Yeah, you had a grocery bag.
Oh, because up top we had the place to sleep up top. You're right. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep. That was that.
What year did you do that tour with us?
Oh, fuck. What was that? Like maybe, when was that? Like 2015?
5 years ago? Seems like longer, dude. So did we do Europe together? We do Europe and US?
It was right when, fuck. I'm sorry, I'm spacing the name.
It's okay.
I'm going to get it. Your record name with Father Figure and
yeah, Use Your Voice came out. That was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Holy shit, man! So you did a Europe run with us. That was right. It was, and then did you do US with us? Which correct too, right?
Yep. Yeah, that was tons of fun.
Yeah, we were grinding, man.
Really
we were grinding, man. I felt bad for Brandon because he went from like busting his ass to going in a tour bus to being in Rancid, and then H2O on like a little DIY, and all of us squished in the van in Europe.
And it was so fun, though, dude.
I know. It was like, get back in the van. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, it was like 11 shows in a row, no days off.
Bro.
quick run, but
Dude,
just
it's
nonstop.
I know.
Plugging the gear, and
Dude,
it was fun, man.
it's crazy. We still
That was
do
great.
that shit. Yeah. How does Rance end up recording at the ranch, Skywalker Ranch? It seems so random, but it's probably not random at all.
No, that was some Brett Gerwitz magic, because that's not exactly like the place you call up and schedule time for your band.
No.
But he was a big Star Wars fan and
Sick.
or is a big Star Wars fan, and it was just kind of a fantasy that he wanted to see if he could do, and
wow.
he pulled it off. He got it booked, and we lived there on the premises for like a month. And it was fucking rad. They have like these awesome, like the whole ranch is just crazy. And there's like bikes everywhere for you to just ride around and shit. And
yeah.
I became friends with Jet Lucas, George's son.
Okay.
And he was telling me about a whole building they call the Vault. And so he took me over to it, and it's where they store every single prop and costume of every George Lucas film ever.
Oh my God, dude.
We're just like wandering around this place. He took me there twice. One time while security was working, so you just were very like, careful with everything. And the other time he took me and like Rachel Tejada and John Marcal, our engineer, and he took all of us in like after hours, and we're just checking shit out. And because you weren't really supposed to take photos, but he was like, I don't give a fuck. Like, we're taking all these photos of everything. And then suddenly I get hit with an arrow that he shot me with like an Ewok's bow and arrow. And I was like, what the fuck? And then he like hands me one of the like screen used like lightsabers, and we start having like a lightsaber battle, like right there in the middle of it all. And then we got like photos of him and I like picking up the Ark of the Covenant from Indiana Jones. It was just insane,
surreal,
dude.
Man. That's crazy. That's like kid's dream, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah, right? I wore like the actual Boba Fett helmet and shit. And, like we were just taking a million photos. I tried to use Indiana Jones' whip and fucking whip myself in the shoulder super hard.
Holy shit.
Like,
they have like R2-D2 there too and stuff?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All of it, dude.
God,
everything.
Man. Chewbacca. Wow.
The place was insane. Insane.
So did you meet
the whole thing
Yeah.
was a whirlwind, man. Like, they're making a my first Rancid record. We're in a place like that, getting experiences like that, you know. And the whole thing was just, it was nuts, man. It was nuts, but I loved it. I had a great time. It was so fun writing the songs and you know, getting to be involved as much as I was with the writing process and all of us jamming and helping come up with melodies and lyrics and shit. Like, Last One to Die, like made up a lot of Last One to Die.
That's
like
awesome, man.
Parts with everybody and it was just fucking, it was crazy, man. The whole thing was crazy.
Yeah. So have other bands like recorded there before? Or was it some?
I think so.
Okay.
But I don't know who.
Yeah.
I'm pretty positive. I mean, it's ultimately a scoring stage, like the room we were in, this massive room with a giant movie screen on the back wall. They put on Star Wars one night in there just for fun.
Wow.
And yeah, it was a crazy room. Like the studio was insane, but it was really more just an excuse to get to go there and hang out. I think, you know.
Did you guys see George or meet George?
They did. Okay. I happened to leave because I'm a Stallone super fan. Ooh. And so I actually got to go to the Rambo premiere in Vegas with my brother.
Holy shit.
I took him. So I had flown to Vegas and was at the premiere and got to meet Stallone and shit, which was like,
that's incredible, man.
He's my childhood hero.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And my adult hero, he's just one of my fucking favorite people. But, and so I was like just living it up. But then meanwhile, I got back and come to find out George had come to the studio and hung out with everybody and played chess with them and all this shit.
Oh, man.
I was like, holy shit. Like, I wouldn't trade it for what I was doing, but that's still pretty fucking rad. And I'm bummed I missed it.
Yeah, that's incredible, man.
Yeah, it was super cool.
How many records have you made Rancid now total? How many years have you been in Rancid for now total?
14.
Wow, man. Time flies, dude. That's crazy.
You know what's weird as hell is Brett Gerwitz was in the band for 14 years. Or fucking hell.
Shit.
Sorry. Brett Reed.
Brett Reed.
We've been talking about Gertz, and I said the wrong last
Brett
name.
Reed.
Sorry, Brett.
Wow, even time. That's insane.
Dude, Brett was in Rancid for 14 years.
That's crazy.
It's fucking weird. Because to me, it's like, I mean, this is the fan talking, but he'll always be the drummer of Rancid. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, I'm just fortunate to have that job. And, you know, I can't even call it a job, but either way, like, I'm fortunate to have that duty and that position. But, you know, as far as I'm concerned, like, that's Brett Reed, you know, and it's weird to me if I meet Rancid fans and stuff and they're talking about how much they love Rancid. I don't feel like I can take any credit for that because I'm like, dude, like me too. Like, like how fucking great are they, right? And it's like, this is one of my favorite bands. So they were legends and fucking the monster that is Rancid long before I came along, you know? So I take no credit for that at all. That's all Brett Reed and these guys, you know? So
it's amazing you still be a fan of the band. It's awesome, man. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, now that I've been in the band as long as him, it's like, it doesn't matter if I've been in twice as long as him, it's always going to seem like that's the original. That's really who the band is, you know?
Yeah. And you guys were supposed to be on tour this summer too with Dropkicks, and then this whole COVID hit.
Yeah.
And have a new record coming out as well, correct?
I think that's been announced.
Oops. Oh, maybe not then. Maybe not. Then I'll take it out of here. But yeah, I mean,
there will be a new record sometime.
Yeah. Sometime.
Whoa. That's what usually happens. We end up making another record. So there will be another record. I don't know when.
How many records have you been on
Who
now?
knows with anything right now, though, right?
No, I know nothing. We know nothing about the future right now. It's stressful.
Yeah.
How many records have you done with this? How many records in 14 years?
3. Fuck.
Okay.
3 or 4.
Okay. Yeah.
Fuck, I don't know. Everything since Let the Dominoes Fall.
Yeah.
You want to know the weird thing? I don't usually listen to the records I make a lot.
Yeah.
Like
that's normal. I think
so.
Normal, yeah.
So, and especially, it's really weird for me being in Rancid because, again, that's a band I've loved for so long and lived with all their records for so long. So it's weird to hear the band with me. It seems
with you on it. Yeah.
Same band. You know what I mean?
Got you.
So it's like I'm not like super fanning on the stuff I do, you know.
Yeah.
But I'll take some of these old records and fucking still listen to the shit out of these records.
Of course.
So,
what's your favorite
so that's where
record?
I'm terrible. I lose track of this shit.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of records. So what's your favorite Rancid record? Do you have one?
You know, I get torn. A lot of the times, Let's Go is actually a favorite.
Love that record.
I fucking love Life Won't Wait.
That's a great one too.
And bangers. But of course, Out Come the Wolves is like...
That's my shit, man.
Probably the fucking most classic record of theirs.
Dude,
so
it's a perfect album, man.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, but I just really loved where they went with Life Won't Wait.
Yeah.
That was such a fucking...
literally where they went. Jamaica, England, everywhere to make that record.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
Yeah.
But they were just like flexing on that fucking record. Some of the sickest vocal performances any of them have ever done. Some of my favorite fucking drum parts Brett Reed ever played. Like some of the best musicianship they've ever done is on that record. You know, everything from like just the sickest stuff, dude. Some of Tim's cadences and stuff he spits on that fucking record are insane. Like
I love Coppers.
I don't know how he does that shit.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
It's incredible. So
I think it's called Coppers. London, I'm gonna find it. New York, LA, back to Kingston. So good, man. Such a great song, man.
So good.
There's so much.
And then what was the one that? Oh yeah, dude. And there's like all these rad, like epic, legendary guests on that album, and you know they have fucking horns on it. They have steel drums. They have like all kinds of percussion. It was just they just took it to another level.
They really did,
rad
man.
To see them flex and show what they're capable of. You know,
it took their time and like, this so many great songs on there, man.
Yeah.
What would you consider yourself? That's a silly question because I already know you're freaking positive. I was going to say that you consider yourself an optimist or pessimist, but I know you're super posy. You're super posy. You know,
you gotta be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's one of those things where, like, I think the sure thing in life is that it's gonna deal you shit,
Mm-hmm.
and that can sound or pessimistic, but to me, I mean it in an optimistic way, where it's like, no, that's the sure thing. The thing that's not a sure thing are the good times, and the good things, they're not a guarantee.
Yeah.
So you got to fucking make that shit happen. And you got to fucking take the wheel and drive it the fucking direction you want the most you can, because the opposition is going to do everything possible to keep you from getting there. And that's what's going to make it mean that much more. And that's what's going to make the drive mean that much more. And you know what I mean? And so it's like,
I love that.
You got to fucking savor the good times and enjoy them, because that's the fuel that gets you through the bad times, you know? And it's like, because that's a sure thing. You could be on top. You can be fucking killing it. You could be fucking whatever. But that can change really fucking quick.
So fast.
And it's a sure thing that more shit's going to come your way. It's not a sure thing that more great things will come your way. And so I think it's just a matter of like, no, man, you got to just fucking, it's all an endurance challenge, you know? And the people that can endure without playing the victim card and feeling sorry for themselves, those are the people that are going to land on top and have that feeling of success. And it's nothing to do with anything monetary or anything with status at all. It's a matter of like the gratification you get from enduring the opposition and landing on your feet eventually, you know?
Yeah. I love that. Do you have any regrets in your life?
You know, no, it's not something I choose to feel.
Yeah.
I've fucked up, you know what I mean? But to me, I feel like regret is a really useless emotion.
Yeah.
Because what the fuck can we do with that? Mm-hmm. It's like, have we fucked up? Like, yeah, maybe, like no one's fucking perfect, but we can learn from that shit and become a better person for it. So any bad shit we've been through, any bad shit we've done, that's all an opportunity presented to us to learn, grow, and become a better person. So why would you waste a moment regretting that when that presented the opportunity to improve, you know? So I say, fuck it, man. No regrets. Just fucking do you. Try to be a good person, be respectful and mindful of others, and you know what I mean? And fucking power through.
I love that. I know you're a massive soccer fan. And then you made like a kind of a soccer anthem, correct?
Yeah.
What was it? What's it for? What's it for? Oh, for Salt Lake City team, correct?
Yeah. I had never been a fan of like organized sports at all.
Yeah,
you know, just growing up the way I did, it was like skateboarding, no coach, do it your way at your pace. You're fucking, no one's telling you what to do. You know, there's no right or wrong way to do shit.
Totally.
That's my kind of sport, if you want to call it that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so when I first joined Rancid, I was like, you know, being a UK tour, there's football everywhere. And so Lars was kind of joking with me, like, you're in Rancid now, you're a Millwall fan. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know what the fuck any of that means, but like, okay. Yeah. You know, and just kind of joking around and trying to kind of introduce the game to me a little bit. And then when we had a break in 2007, we had a little time off, and he hit me up and was like, hey, we should go to a Real Salt Lake game. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And he's like, that's the soccer team in Salt Lake. And I'm like, I've never even heard of that before. And he's like, dude, it's a major league team. And I'm like, I've never heard of it. Like where the fuck would I know of that? You know, like I don't run in a circle I would have known about that or, you know, like, I don't know. And so I looked into it, buy us tickets to a game. He flew out, and me and Spike and him all go to our first game. And
awesome.
He knew a lot about the team, was telling me all about him and stuff, and kind of giving us the lowdown before it starts. And I went into it being, I'll admit it, I was being closed-minded and fucking judgmental as hell, because to me it was like sports equal jocks and this and like, I just expected like a bunch of bros and soccer moms and, you know what I mean? Like just being a dick. I totally was judging it without knowing anything about it, which is wrong of me. And, I'm not going to say I regret it, but but I learned from it.
Exactly.
But But yeah, so literally like the moment the game starts, we're just fucking up out of our seats, screaming and cheering and like the entire time, you know, and it was, dude, it was crazy. Like the passion and the electricity to it all was like something I hadn't experienced.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with it, man. I fell in love with that club. I fell in love with the game, and it just really resonated with me. So fast forward, like I've made friends with most of the team, you know, like the coaches, the staff, and that they just all became like family. We all hang out, and you know, I'd travel around and go to games, and they just really embraced me as one of them, you know, and I've been to matches around the world, you know, and I just noticed that like all these clubs have these anthems that would play like right when they would take the field or whatever. And I was like, why doesn't any of the teams out here do that? Like, this is like a big void, you know? I was like, fuck, we need something like that. And so I just brainstormed it for a while. I wrote an idea that I sat on for almost a year, just because I felt like it wasn't my place, you know? And eventually I was like, fuck it. I made a video for it with a handful of fans that I rounded up, and it was cool, man. They've really embraced it, and it became like the official anthem of the team. It's on the Utah license plates and shit.
Wow,
like,
dude,
crazy.
It's amazing, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow,
I had no idea. I was just a fan, you know. I was like, shit, I was just one more guy in the stadium that loves this team and this city, and so
was Lars super stoked? Like, he got you into it? Is he psyched? And that happened, like the song.
Yeah,
I
mean, we have a joking like rivalry going on because, you know, he's a San Jose's Earthquake fan and I'm a RSL fan, so we like to have a rival. They even just played each other like a week ago, and we were texting each other, busting balls and stuff. But we have fun with it, man. I certainly credit him to being the reason I got into it for sure.
It's awesome, man. It's so cool. And do you play it too?
Yeah, I'll play in like little local leagues. I haven't done anything this year. No one's done shit this year, but
of course.
But yeah, I've had a team. I started a team called Hooligans.
Oh, that's
back in 2007.
Yeah, I saw that.
Right when I got into it.
Yeah.
And fucking, we had jerseys and everything. We were dialed. Like, we looked like a pro team. We just played like shit.
And you played no sports? All you did was skate when you were younger? You never played sports in school? Nothing, huh?
Yeah, dude. I hadn't run in my life other than running from jocks or cops chasing me for being a skater. You know, like that was my only running experience I ever had in my life. So it was weird to get out and try to run and like, what the fuck? Like, felt a little late in the game to be trying to learn those basics. But
you're very active now, like with the wave. It's called waveboarding.
Oh, wake surfing.
Wake surfing. That. And the foil stuff. I know nothing about that. The four wheel things you drive around. What are they called?
Oh yeah, the side by sides.
Side by sides, and the other thing. Yeah, the videos I've seen of you doing that is incredible, man. All that. So you definitely seem way active, man. Like outside shit, you know.
I just love outdoors. I love being active, you know. And growing up in like action sports, you know, and around all that, it's just still such a huge part of me that. My time off, it's like I'm lucky to live in a beautiful state and in an awesome area where there's tons of recreation and of affordable cost of living because I live in these smaller towns. And so it's like it just affords the opportunity to be able to go get out and kind of experience the best of what my state has to offer. And so I love it, man. I'll never leave. Like right now I'm living in like this very small town in the desert, like the south tip of Utah. And it's just, we have these incredible red sand dunes right here and a beautiful lake. And I'm just playing like as much as possible because it keeps me sane, you know, getting outside and getting kind of one with nature one way or another, whether it's hiking and like actually kind of getting into it or just playing with some fun recreational toys, you know.
that answers all my questions. My final questions were like how you keeping the PMA and what your daily rituals are during this lockdown, and it seems like you have it covered. You know what I mean? Especially when you can play drums every day. That's incredible, you know.
Yeah, and I mean it's been tricky because where I'm living right now, I didn't have any drums or instruments down here, and I was going fucking crazy at first. And so I went up north where I had been living because I had sold my house in December with the intention of rebuilding it. And then with all this shit, that just wasn't everything got put on pause. Life is on pause now, you know? And so,
yep.
So I just went up and gathered some of my gear and brought some shit down here so I can start playing and trying to keep sane, you know?
It's a game changer, right, to have
it. I have to play, man. It's like, I'll get fucking moody. I'll get like just unhappy, and that those demons will start coming back. You know what I mean? Like, I got to stay on top of them and be creative and just do my craft, because it's what truly keeps me happy, you know? But the outdoor stuff, the skating and wake surfing and all that stuff, that's cool. All tied into the same kind of thing. It's just the things that resonate with me, and I can do and express myself one way or another and just enjoy, you know, that freedom I feel when I play music or do these kind of things, because there's no one telling me the right or wrong way to do shit, you know?
Exactly. And you're still skateboarding.
Yeah.
It's awesome, dude. It's awesome.
Trying.
Yeah. It's hard. Shit hurts.
The ground got a lot harder these days, right?
Yo, man. Man. I mean, after skating all day yesterday for like 7 hours, I wear knee pads my whole life, so my knees are pretty decent for my age. And just slamming and like, and Christian Sora's like, damn, man, you got that vegan body. You're like all rubber. You're so wiry. Like you're bouncing off the ramp. Like you're so flexible. I was like, yeah, I'm trying to like stretch, and because he taught me how to do stretches before we skated. Like we did all these stretches, and like you don't think about stretching when you skate, but now I get it, man. I'm fucked up today, man. I'm just really beat down.
Yeah,
it's hard, man.
It's weird. Not the kind of thing that I don't know of a time I ever stretched before skating.
Man.
Once in my life. You know what I mean? And now, like, if I'm gonna skate, like I still have my mini ramp and shit,
and
I just love
you have that. Shit.
Yeah, and it's like, but same thing. I got to do like some fucking toe touches and just loosen shit up, because it doesn't come out of the gates so limber anymore. You know.
How big is your mini ramp?
It's like just under 4 feet,
Sick.
But it's 16 feet wide with a spine and then an extension on the one end.
Wow. Send me a pic of that, Charlie, when you have a chance.
I will. For sure.
We're debating having a ramp put in our backyard. Like, Max got really good grades this year, and he's supposed to get one last year. And I talked to OC Ramps to maybe make one. And we've been going to Cabs, which is like an hour and a half drive, but I like going there. It's a nice getaway, and the ramp's awesome. But it'd be cool to have one in the backyard too, man, for sure. You know.
Absolutely, man. I know. Absolutely. My buddy's got he's a ramp builder, and he builds ramps under the name Super Ramp Technologies.
Nice.
And he does steel ramps that a lot of them are intended to be portable, because he's done like BMX shows and stuff forever, and they do everything from like halftime shows to car shows and shit for like elementary schools and high schools, and then he'll do things for like Nitro Circus and stuff like that like a trailer that unfolds and sets up into a 40-foot roll-in in moments, you know. But he's the one that built my ramp, because living in Utah, that's the route you have to go, you know, because I've done the wood ramps and they'll last for a year, and then with one gnarly Utah winter, your ramp's fucked. I've tried skate light, I've tried all this shit. It's like it doesn't work. We have our winters are too heavy, our summers are too hot. It just takes too much abuse. But
so yours is steel,
he built me my ramp.
It's steel.
Yeah, and it's the top is all steel, or he'll do aluminum depending on which ramp it is.
Yep.
And then it's painted so it looks and feels just like skate light, but it's just indestructible.
That's
you know,
cool.
And I love it, man. It skates so good and feels so good. Like, you know, you just paint it just right, and if you'd never know the difference, you know.
That's cool. It's indestructible, like an album. Interesting.
Yeah, right.
I think we covered a lot of things. Damn, we talked 2 hours and 15 minutes. That's amazing, man.
Nice.
I'm glad you're doing good. It's a weird time. It's a crazy world we live in. We don't know what's going to happen moving forward for music. Like everything we had booked this year got pushed to next year. Who knows if that's even a reality? And we're very lucky we get to play music. I know we don't take it for granted, and I feel like this lockdown is making us, I don't know, maybe think about life more, appreciate more, try different things, and try to be more motivated and stay sane. Like you said, it's a hard time. And like, even though me and you get to do what we love, and we have like roofs over our heads, and we have our ladies, and we have our health, like the news and the world and the internet, just everything, it beats on you, man. And even if you don't think it does, like, there's so much information. It's so good to put your phone down and go into the ocean or go skate and do something right now. I think it's super important, especially for us who are very passionate about what we do. We get to travel and see, we always run tons of humans, and that's like, we feed off each other. That we play music to humans to make them happy, inspire them, and we don't have that now. So that connection's lost. So it's really hard, man. You know, it's an interesting time. You know,
it really is, and it's humbling for all of us. You know, and it really requires us to establish a good support system that we know would withstand anything.
Yes,
you know, whether
exactly.
Whether we're focusing more on our own mental health, which is a crucial thing for any human being, you know, it's something that gets overlooked and not enough attention put on that. And now is a great time where everybody's stressed and anxiety and fear and anger and every emotion. It's like, this is a good time to just take some deep breaths and kind of trying to center ourselves. And I've been fortunate, you know, my girl Danielle is the best partner on the planet, and to be like, you know, bunkered down with anyone. I've been so fortunate to have her by my side.
That's awesome.
In life and through all this madness, you know, and so I think it's a matter of like, we just got to fucking look out for each other, look out for ourselves and just take care, you know, ultimately just truly take care and show some respect and patience for other people and love. And, you know, we're in a really hard stance time where things could be as poetic and unifying or dividing and terrible as we choose them to be, you know, to an extent. And there are battles that need to be fought right now. And there are voices that need to be heard. And there are fears and very real emotions out there. And it's like the universe is like forcing mankind to kind of hit the reset button and give our planet a break for a fucking minute. Yeah. You know, and maybe like kind of put in check, like, yo, wow, you know, our footprint really does have a big impact on this planet. Like maybe we can proceed forward, you know, giving a little more thought in how we treat things, whether we do whatever, recycle the food we eat, how we treat animals, everything and human beings, you know. It's like, it's just a good time to see the planet thrive while people are struggling, and we can learn a lot from that, you know, and just truly look out for each other and look out for the world, you know? Yeah.
I love that. I saw that meme where it's like Mother Nature told everybody to go to their room. You know, I love that. Like,
for real.
Yeah. Get to your room. And also I like that you know, I know you deal with depression, and I like that you talk about it and you express it and you use your platform to spread awareness about that. I think it's super important. So I appreciate that for sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
A lot of people going through that right now. And I feel like another thing too is that it doesn't matter who you voted for, if you're a Democrat, Republican, what side none of that shit matters. We're all in this together. This doesn't matter. This is like, you know, everybody looking out for each other and, like you said, being respectful, looking out for the communities and their fellow humans, and doing what we have to do to get through together, whether you believe in the COVID or not, or you believe in this or not. Just as a human being, just despite all those other things that are going on, just as a human, like, look out for your neighbor, look out for each other, be respectful of each other, man. That's just common courtesy. That's just what we're supposed to do as human beings. We're supposed to care about each other, you know what I mean? And maybe through all the insanity and the negativity and all the different the politics and all this other shit, it's making people more strip everything down and just actually, you know, be humans and think about what it means to be kind and respectful and caring of others, because it seems like there's a lot of division going on, it seems like, and especially if you're watching the news or you're looking at social media. But when you go outside and I go to the beach, or I take my son surfing, or I walk down the street, people are smiling, people are wearing their masks, people are just trying to live and, you know, and be respectful of each other. And that's the main thing, is what's happening in real life outside your house. You can get caught up on the internet, and there's so many different things to look at, but at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know, we were here before all that shit, and we're going to make it through this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of that's toxic, you know, and like the social media and stuff right now, it's like it can be inspiring or it can be toxic.
Totally.
And you got to be careful to not.
Totally.
It's like, let's not forget that's a platform for entertainment and connectivity.
Yes,
and if
100%.
It's not inspiring you and provoking good, then maybe it's okay to turn it off and just do what you can in your day-to-day life to be a good person and practice what you preach, because everybody's wanting to get online and preach to each other and not actually making a difference in the real world. They'll still go out to a store and be a fucking asshole to someone because they took their parking spot or something. And it's like, no, let's practice what we preach day to day. Like smile at people. Well, they're not going to know you should be wearing a fucking mask, but smile with your eyes. You know what I mean?
Totally.
But you know what I mean? It's like, we need solidarity more than ever. And the lines between everybody's hard stances, it'd be great if those fucking were blurred or went away and we could just simply look out for each other. And it's like, I don't know, not to get too like, whatever with it, but in the end, you know, it's like, everybody just needs to show some love and respect.
Yeah, totally.
To fellow men. Like, we need each other, regardless of what religion you are, what race you are, what sex or gender or whatever you are, whatever age you are, whatever class you are. It doesn't fucking matter. We need each other.
Yep.
And people need to recognize that we need each other and that these fucking walls and barriers between us are toxic and fucking hold back the progress of mankind in such a way that, you know, it's like screaming at each other is never going to change that. You know, people need to start just taking an approach with love and compassion and, you know, I don't know.
Love that. I love that. It's true.
I'm a hippie at heart. You know what I mean?
Me too, brother. I'm too emo for hardcore,
I'm all for love.
Bro.
Yeah. Love, unity, respect, equality. Man. Fucking, we're all the same, man.
We are, brother.
It doesn't matter. No one's hurting anybody else by letting others be them. You know what I mean? Like, don't fucking hurt people. You know, don't be a dick. But like, what does it matter? Like, what your belief system is, what sex you prefer. Like, what the fuck do these things matter? You know, like, let's just, I don't know. We all have hearts. We all need oxygen. We all need water. As far as I'm concerned, we're the fucking same.
Yeah,
you know?
Unless you're a Nazi piece of shit, then we hate you.
Yeah, then but we don't consider them humans.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm talking about humans. Nothing fucking human about that shit.
I know what you're saying. Fuck. Well, thank you so much for your time, man. This has been incredible to talk to you. I've known you for many, many years, but I feel like I've learned so much more about you just in this phone call. And that's what I like about the podcast is that I can know you for many, many years. And if we have just a one-on-one like this and just nobody else and just us, like you learn more about people. And I really appreciate and love what you've done with your life. You've definitely lived the PMA. You've been through a lot of heavy shit in your life, and you maintained focus and you stuck to your convictions and your beliefs and always stay true to who you are. And that resonates with a lot of people, man. And you're an inspiration to people. And I'm honored to call you my friend.
Thank you,
Branden.
man.
I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. And likewise, man, I've the utmost respect for you and really appreciate all that you do and value you as a friend and someone I really look up to and admire. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, brother. And I'll be speaking to you soon about maybe making that road trip because I was told by one of our friends it's maybe a 7-hour drive. Does that sound right?
Not even that. 6 top.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not bad.
Yeah, man.
Worth it.
And you get a mini, and now I didn't realize you had a mini ramp there too. That adds to everything else.
The mini ramp's up north. That's at
the
spot up north. But I'm gonna have one down here, just a little guy, little, like 3 foot, 12 foot wide, set up here in the next like month and a half or so.
That's sick. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, stoked.
And hopefully I'll see you somewhere in real life soon, like on a stage or somewhere. You know.
Absolutely, brother.
All right, thanks for everything, man. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Much love, brother.
All right, peace, man. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, guys. Thanks for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet to this podcast, please do that. And whatever platform you are listening to this on, I'm glad you found me. You can rate me and review me on there also. So thank you guys sincerely for the support. I cannot wait for you guys to do the next one.